I got a email from a Satanist a couple years ago.
No, you did not.
About this book.
About this book?
About this
What
book.
What did they say?
Yes, he picked up, and he was a super nice guy.
I mean, he's a nice person, right? So.
Yeah, he was like, hey, I picked up your book. I'm real interested in spiritual warfare. And
so what was his experience on that side of it? So he was still practicing active?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an active Satanist. And he said, the book really touched me. He said, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I almost didn't pick it up because it was Christian fiction. But the one thing I don't like about it, he said, I really wish you wouldn't portray Satan as horrible. He said, because Satan loves us just like God does.
Oh my gosh.
See, so that's where...
So deceived.
That's where his deception was.
Wow.
Super nice guy. He was like, I would love...
And it sounds like very respectful.
He was like, could we talk?
So did you talk to him?
I did.
And how did that go?
I said, I normally don't, because with your cell phones, anybody can,
Sure.
I was like, if you want to give me your number, I'll call you. And we actually talked 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And
man, Brett,
he was full of questions. I mean, about God and about,
planting a seed, right? Like that is what you did.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
But his biggest thing was, he's like, I just find it so regrettable that Satan is depicted as out to destroy everyone. Well, that's what the Bible says. He's a roaring lion seeking those whom he can devour.
Yeah.
And of course, I got the whole, the Bible's a book of fiction.
Okay, and so that's where it comes down to is like, do you believe that the Word of God is the infallible truth?
Yes. And of course, with being a Satanist, he didn't. He doesn't believe that,
I think that's so neat that you were able to have that discourse with someone on the complete opposite side of things.
I totally enjoyed talking to him.
Welcome to the Bookish Introverts Podcast. Join host Amazon bestselling author Brett Nelson and avid reader Melanie Dyer as they dive in to review books they've read, then chat with the amazing authors behind them. Quiet minds, big bookshelves. You don't want to miss it.
Hey guys, it's Brett, and we are back. I'm here with Charity, and we are talking about Can I say we're talking about a great book today?
Considering we are talking about a wonderful book today, and we just so happen to have the author with us.
Yes.
We're talking about one of Brett's books today.
Tell them what we're talking about.
We are talking about Brett's novel War Songs. And is it a 2-book series right now?
It's a 2-book series. Eventually, it's going to be a 3-book series. The 3rd book is already written. Hasn't been through the beta reader phase yet, but book 3 will be out next year.
So exciting.
Yeah.
You guys, it's an excellent novel, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it today.
So let me ask you, have you ever read a spiritual warfare book before?
Yeah. Kind of the classic Frank Peretti was the first probably I was ever exposed to. And This Present Darkness was the first one of his that I read.
Oh, that's such a good book.
And I read it when I was in high school, and I remember kind of being like, whoa, I've never thought of things in terms of like that.
Yeah.
Where you kind of put physical characters to like what is actually going on. And I think it made me think about spiritual warfare in a different way.
Yeah.
So I will say, though, this book, when I read it, I feel like it's timely for like the season that we're in as a nation, and especially as Christians in our nation. I think spiritual warfare is happening on a much larger scale than it has.
Yeah.
And maybe not in a larger scale, but maybe we're just more aware of it.
Yes.
Or maybe I'm just more aware of it.
Yeah.
But it was very timely for me, again, to read this. And so I'm excited.
Did you ever, one thing that I have found when I go out and do book signings and stuff like that, or just talk to people about the book, one thing that I find so curious is that a lot of people are very reluctant to read books about spiritual warfare.
Really?
Yeah, people are afraid. Like,
they don't want to talk about it?
No, I've literally had people pick up my book and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I like this cover. Tell me about it." And the minute you say spiritual warfare, they're like, "Oh, mm-mm." And these are Christian people.
Do you think though it's like this? But again, just because they're a Christian person doesn't mean that they've like maybe encountered it on a personal level or recognize it for what it was, if that is what was going on. Because oftentimes I think we attribute it to many other things, like just random happenstance, coincidence.
Yes.
The state of the world, or just life being life, right? But it's not always just life being life.
It's not. Yeah.
And if you're not spirit-filled and you don't have discernment to recognize, oh, this is spiritual, this is not just physical, this is not just financial, this is not just emotional, this is spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the discernment to recognize that, then maybe it scares them.
I think
Or
that's
like-
what it is.
And
yeah.
if they don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. Ignorance is bliss kind of thing.
Yes, the bury your head in the sand
Yeah,
syndrome.
like an ostrich.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I've also learned as I talk about the book, I'm not very good at self-promotion. Like on my author page, I'm not one of those people that constantly buy my book. Here, let me tell you.
Can I just write your bio on your author page then and like do it for you? Because I'll hype you up.
Yes, you can.
You're excellent.
Oh, thank you. But one thing I've learned sort of especially as I've done public events, book signings, I've learned to moderate the wording I use when I
sure.
talk about the book.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, as Christians, we all know demons are real.
Yep.
Angels are real.
Yep.
But the minute you mention the book having demons in it, people act like the book, like it's 1,000 degrees.
Yeah. Do you think it makes them think of like a horror movie or something
yes,
like that?
I think
Because I know a lot of
because
Christians
in our culture
eschew that, right? Like we don't want
Yes.
anything to do with anything that's demonic.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think in people's minds, they equate demons to horror.
Yeah. Well,
And that's
to
not
be
what
fair,
this
Hollywood
is.
culture has
They've turned it
kind of
into
done
that.
that.
Yeah, they've turned it
So,
into that.
That's probably why that association is there.
And
Because I will say, like in my home, we don't do horror flicks of any
yeah.
kind.
Oh, yeah. I don't like them either.
I'm not doing that. I'm not inviting any of that mess. I don't need fear hanging out in my house. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason for that.
Now, a good suspense movie I'll watch.
That's
but yeah.
different, though.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
But I bet that's it. I bet you're right. Like, that's why they just kind of, the pushback is there.
Yes, there's a visceral reaction if I say the
can see it
word
on
demon.
their
So
face.
I've got to where I say fallen angels.
So is that more palatable to people?
I feel like that's more palatable. When I say it centers around the spiritual realm, the characters don't know what's going on around them, but
Right.
as the reader, you get to see
perspective.
into the spiritual realm, and you get to see the angels and the fallen
Mhm.
angels. When I started referring to them as fallen angels, people weren't
Freaked out.
Yeah.
Do you think that has something to do with our culture of like being so PC and unoffensive and how we talk about things?
I never thought about that, but that could be. Yeah.
So like, because I feel like this is so mean, but like snowflake culture is a thing right
Yeah.
now, and like you don't want to offend or upset or
Yeah.
offend anybody's sensibilities, right? And so I
But
think
these days, it's hard to not. You can't
It
say
is.
anything without
It
any.
is.
We are a weak culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
people don't like the truth, right?
And it's exhausting. The
constantly edit
PC
yourself?
police are exhausting.
Constantly editing oneself to make sure that you're not going to offend is very exhausting.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And very annoying. Like, since
Yeah.
when can we not just talk openly?
Yeah.
Like, because
Let's have a discourse.
although I will say, I think in times past, and maybe not even that long ago, maybe even 20 or 30 years ago, people were much more careful to not intentionally provoke or offend. And I don't think that that's the case now. Like, I feel
No.
like a lot of that manners, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
it's just not a thing anymore.
It's yeah.
And I think the internet and the rise of social media has a ton to do with that.
Yes. And this is kind of my new phrase or
Okay.
my new saying.
Let's hear it.
Social media gives a platform to people that don't need to have a platform. It gives them a
mean-
voice that they don't need to have.
Yeah, because they'll say things from behind a computer that they would never say to a person in real life in most cases.
Yes.
Although I think that is even waning.
Mhm.
Now I think people will say things out loud that they never would have said before.
Yeah.
Man, and that's one of those things I'm trying to teach my kids. Like, it's okay to edit your thoughts. You do not have to speak everything that comes out into your head.
And listen, you are preaching to me on this because
It's
I
hard.
know sometimes I post stuff. I don't post dirty stuff, but sometimes I do post stuff that I know will probably be a little bit controversial.
Yeah. But you don't,
And sometimes it's even it's usually even based on truth, but a lot of people don't want that kind of truth.
yeah, and I don't feel like you're necessarily provocative when you do it. Like, you're not necessarily trying to provoke anyone.
Yeah.
You're just stating your opinion of whatever that situation may be.
And sometimes though, it's best to just not state your opinion.
I am that person. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm very much I'm not putting my political views on Facebook. I'm mostly not going to talk about anything that could be considered controversial.
Yeah.
Unless you can count like faith, I guess. But most of the people that are on my Facebook are people of faith, so it's not really
Mhm.
an issue there. And maybe I should have more diversity in my friends list. I don't know. But I'm also at a point where I'm kind of like, maybe I just want to get rid of my online presence altogether and not have one.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of exhausting. And like,
it is.
Now when I get on Facebook to look, I'm just like, none of this is edifying or uplifting or encouraging. Do I want to be a part of that?
Mm-hmm.
These are some questions I'm asking myself lately.
For sure. And I probably need to do a little bit more of that.
It's
too.
hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard because it is kind of like, that is how people tend to share their opinions and stuff now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of sitting down for conversations one-on-one, people just share what they think on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or on Instagram or whatever it is.
And in some cases, I do think that's a good, because it does open up an avenue for discourse, but people don't often use it as a way to talk, to experience a different perspective. It's a way to attack people. If I don't agree with you, then you're public enemy number one. You need to sit down and shut up. That's not how it's supposed to work.
No, and I think too, because of the way the algorithms work, it can sort of become an echo chamber where you're only hearing
for sure
and seeing things that agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, it's good for us to be challenged in our beliefs and perspectives at times, right? Because that causes us to really go deeper into why I believe what I believe or why I feel the way that I feel about a certain thing. And if you're just repeating what you've heard, or it's just something that you believe because it's always been that way, maybe that's not good enough.
Yeah. So do you feel like as a society, we've become more, I believe what I believe and no one's going to change my mind?
Oh, I think definitely people are that way. I think it's much harder. But I also think that most of the time a Facebook post is not going to change someone's mind.
No. A Facebook post is not going to
change
anyone's mind.
And so I think we have to really get back to this, like one-on-one conversation, sitting down over a cup of coffee or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And having conversations, being challenged, being willing to being challenged in our beliefs. Because I think people get offended now if you challenge their belief.
They do. That's why Charlie Kirk was assassinated, because he was challenging people's beliefs. He wasn't pushing his belief on anyone, but he was challenging the way people thought. Those people don't like that.
Yeah. And and
there's probably Christians that are like that too. They don't don't like their, so 100%. I'm not saying that specific to,
it's on both sides, right?
It's on both sides.
Christians and non-Christians both. Like no one likes to be challenged.
No.
And doesn't want to, and no one wants to consider the possibility that they might be wrong about something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that our thoughts, they are so important. And this book really, to me, was so much about that, like not letting intrusive thoughts, which we find out are not actually intrusive thoughts in this, but not letting those things win, because like the word says it, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And so
your mom has a perfect saying for this, Mama Michelle.
I know what it is too.
Yeah. Tell them what it is.
What's in the well?
What's in the well? What's in the well comes up in the bucket.
Yeah. Yes. It's true.
Yeah.
Whatever you have inside you, that's what comes out of you. And so if you only ever talk to people who agree with you about everything,
you don't grow. Yeah. Well, and I think one helpful thing about doing it like this, or just not doing it on social media, it's so much easier to see the heart of a person if you're right there in front of them.
Absolutely.
On a Facebook post, people can read their own, their mood for the day can determine how they interpret what you've posted.
You can't determine tone,
intent,
intent. You can't determine body language. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like,
but with you and I sitting here talking, we can pull from each other. Like we can see each other's hearts.
Yes.
Our listeners and our viewers can see our hearts.
Right.
And again, it's not as good as sitting in the room together. But I think that is part of the problem too with social media, is that
you remove the humanity.
Yes. When you're dealing with a Facebook post, you're basically dealing with a faceless, even though that person has a profile picture or whatever.
Right. But that's not the same as looking at that person in the face.
It almost feels like you're dealing with not a real person, because their words are all you're seeing. You're not hearing their voice. You're not hearing their intonation. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So anyway, let's move into the book.
Yeah. Okay. So Brett, I would like to know, when did you write this?
I published the book 4 years ago. So what?
So it wasn't your first novel.
This was my fourth novel.
Okay.
And this is actually, I feel like my writing style sort of started changing
Mhm.
with this book.
Mhm.
I've always been interested in spiritual warfare.
Okay.
And as a Christian,
Do you think that's just because of like how you were raised?
I think it was
or-
how we were raised, because as Christians, you and I were both raised in church. I don't remember, from my youngest age, we've always gone to church.
Yeah.
And we've always heard about the devil and God and angels. So it's not really a foreign concept for us. Yeah. So once I kind of got older and started like, I'd really like to read more books into spiritual warfare.
There's not a lot out there.
There's not a lot out there. And the couple that I read, and of course, my first mistake was not going to like Frank Peretti or something like that. But at the time, I wasn't really reading a lot of Christian fiction. I just went on Amazon or wherever and just typed in spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Well, all the books I read, they were more occult based.
Oh.
They were more pictures falling off the wall, or somebody seeing something out of the corner of their eye and they turn around and there'd be nothing there. That's not what biblical spiritual warfare is.
Right.
It's not the things that go
bump in the
night. That's not what spiritual warfare is.
Yeah. Now that's not to say that sometimes
tangible
things don't happen in the night.
Yes.
But in most cases, that's not what you're going to experience.
Yes. Yeah. And so as I started mulling about writing this book, I had mentioned it to a friend of mine. She was like, well, what are you working on? So I was telling her about, I was like, I really want to write a book about spiritual warfare, but I'm not sure I could do it justice. You know, I was really nervous to write it.
Okay.
And she was like, okay, so what's your motive? Why do you want to write about that?
Yes.
I said, because
this was a question I was going to ask. So I'm glad to bring this up.
Yeah. Well, I said, because I want to write a book on spiritual warfare that is more in line with biblical spiritual warfare.
So have you, and this, I guess maybe this is the question I wanted to ask. Was this based on any particular incident in your own life? Like, was this a personal experience? No. Okay.
No. I've never really experienced. Have you experienced anything like that?
Not necessarily just like this, but I have definitely had some interesting spiritual experiences.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell one? Would you be comfortable, or would you rather not? Don't feel it. You don't have to.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can tell you, because I don't, if anybody, I mean, I think, well, I know I've spoken to other people that have experienced something similar. So I'm trying to think which one to share. There've been a couple of times in my life that I felt like I was under pretty intense spiritual attack. The earliest, the one that's probably the most vivid in my mind. Cody and I had not been married very long, and it was the first house we were renting that we lived in. And he was working at the same cabinet shop he now owns. But he would get up early, like in the summer months, and try to be there super early so that they could like come home earlier so that it wasn't so hot in the afternoons, because it's not air conditioned in the shop and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So like he would be getting up at like 4 a.m. and heading to work. And then I would usually not have to leave till 7 or so. So I was in bed longer than he was. And so one morning he gets up and he leaves, and I go to doze back off in our bed. This is crazy. People are going to think I'm nuts. I go to doze back off in our bed, and I felt something start at my feet and slither up me and lay on top of me.
Wow.
And I'm talking heavyweight. Like I could not move.
It was paralyzing.
Absolutely paralyzing. I could not move any part of my body. And immediately I recognized this is not the Lord. This is not something good.
But it was spiritual.
But it was absolutely, there was nothing physically that I could see, but I could feel it.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed to pray, and I was trying to get the name of Jesus out of my mouth. And Brett, it was like,
do you think it was like a heavy oppression?
I think it was a definite heavy oppression.
Yeah.
That thing had its hands around my neck, and I could feel it squeezing. And it was trying to choke the life out of me. It did not want me getting that word out. And I remember laying there and just literally in my brain saying it over and over. And finally my mouth was able to move, and I started calling out to the Lord and praying. And as soon as I got the word Jesus out of my mouth, that thing got up off me and left. Of course, I was only 18, maybe 19 at this point, very young, but I had been raised in church. So I knew immediately, like, that was demonic. And I didn't know if it was something that, because it was a house we were renting, I didn't know if it was something that like was tied to the property. I didn't know what was going on. And so I called my dad, and I called Pastor Jimmy, and like I called the staff, and I was like,
bring your anointing oil.
Something happened. And literally that night they came to the house with anointing oil. It was Dad and Jimmy and Mario. Did you ever meet Mario?
I never met Mario.
That might've been before you were coming. He was our youth pastor at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they came to the house that night, and I will not ever forget it. Like, we anointed all of the house. We anointed the four corners of the property, and Mario was praying and outside in the backyard, and he saw that thing come out of the house and leave our property. Yeah,
Oh
he
my
watched it leak.
word!
And I was like,
Did he say what it looked like?
I didn't get that far into it. Because
Oh,
honestly,
okay.
I was so freaked out. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm just glad it's gone. I don't want any details.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so I haven't shared that with a ton of people because it's sort of out there. If you don't believe in the demonic and that they are physical, literal presences, that sounds like a crazy person story.
It does.
It sounds like someone ate something, drank something, smoked something, and they had a weird dream, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like, but I don't.
But I have heard several Christians tell similar stories,
and
so it's not. I don't think it's uncommon.
No, and if you do any sort of research into different, because like you kind of touch on this, there is a hierarchy of authority, both in heaven and in hell, and with the angels of the Lord and the fallen angels. There is a hierarchy there, and so there are levels of authority and there are principalities and powers, right? And the word speaks of this, like
it does.
Strongholds. And, and so there are, it's really like some of those things that I experienced are tied to specific demonic entities. And so that's really interesting. I didn't learn about a lot of that till recently in the last few years. And I thought I was like, oh, that's what that was. That's why I couldn't move. That's what was going on there.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. And then like, you know, my dad was an evangelist when I was a kid. So we traveled a lot with him and got to be in services all over the place. And I saw some things in those services. I saw people be delivered from demonic possession.
Yes.
Or oppression.
I've seen castings out. Yeah.
It's a wild thing.
Yeah.
But there's so much freedom after for the individual, you know.
Yeah.
Because really that's a person that's just trapped.
Yeah.
And it's
and I know hearing about that will probably be uncomfortable for some listeners. Because I don't know that casting out demons, is that something that happens other than in the charismatic realm?
I would be willing to bet probably not.
Like,
I've never really heard of that in settings where they're not spirit filled.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Man, I've been having some interesting, I've been doing a lot of reading on apologetics and kind of trying to educate myself a little more about that. And it's really interesting as someone who grew up in a Pentecostal background, and I believe in the moving. I have felt the moving of the Holy Spirit. Like I have seen the gifts of the Spirit at work in a local body on a regular basis.
Yes.
For me to hear that like people straight up don't believe that still happens or should still happen, that it's out of order, is a little different. But I try to be respectful of other people's opinions and thoughts. And ultimately it's not a salvation issue.
No, it's not.
So I try not to get hung up on that too much. But I think definitely in the charismatic circles and the Pentecostal circles, like we're maybe more comfortable talking about those things and dealing with those things.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because I came from a Baptist background. We were Baptist up until I was probably 12 or 13.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went into the Assembly of God Church probably when I was 13, somewhere around in there. Okay. And I never heard of things like that
until
in the Baptist church. Yeah. My first experience with that was in the Assembly of God Church.
And I guess maybe my personal experience, just having personally seen these things and experienced them, that always says like the man with an experience is never at the mercy of the man with an argument.
Yes.
You can't tell me that I didn't experience that. You can't tell me that I didn't see those things.
Yeah,
that
I know what I experienced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not so, even within our denomination, it's not really something people talk about a ton.
No, it's not.
And
it's not something that happens every week.
No, I would say those instances
they're rare,
pretty few and far between.
Yeah, they're few and far between.
And in most cases, when I have seen especially when people have been possessed and needed to be set free, that has been due to series of events that have taken place over the course of time that has allowed demonic influences access to that person's life, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's why it's all the more important that we don't allow those things access to us. Yeah. Because we do have choices.
Yes.
About what things get access to our lives, and to our thoughts, to our minds, to our hearts. I think that's part of the reason, like the word tells us to think about things that are good and true and lovely pure. And right and pure, because that helps guard our mind. It helps guard our eyes. It helps guard our heart, guard our mouth, all those things.
And let me tell you, of the few people I've seen that have been delivered from a possession, there is nothing more heart churning than seeing.
They don't even look the same.
They don't look the same.
There's
they don't talk the same.
Physical changes.
You literally, it's like
sometimes
a
you
veil.
can't recognize them.
Yes.
That's exactly the way to put it. I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It is amazing, the immediate transformation.
Yeah. And I have had some conversations with people that have been through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very eye-opening to hear their side of it, of like, almost like they're trapped within themselves. And like,
Yeah.
when those things would go on, a lot of them would recognize it and be like, this is not me. This is not anything I would want to do or be or say.
But they can't get away
can't
from it. They can't stop it. Yeah.
And so I think that's really interesting. I also kind of have this theory. Again, this is just a theory.
We love theories.
I have this theory that a lot of illnesses that are diagnosed as mental health disorders, I think they're tied to spiritual things.
I think so too.
Especially like when I think about multiple personality disorder or schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I think that's a demonic possession.
I think so. Yeah.
You know, there is that story in the scripture of the man that was possessed, and when they asked what his name was, he said, "We are legion, for we are many."
Yes.
Like, don't
now,
tell
please
me
understand, we are not trying to say that mental health does not exist.
And it matters. Like, I'm for it.
Yeah.
If you need medication to survive the day, you go get your medication and you survive
Absolutely.
the day.
But I do think, there is some
things,
cases that it is demonic.
I think so too.
A possession.
Or even just oppression. I think
oppression.
I think depression. I think there is a spirit of depression that attaches itself to people that just tries to weigh you down.
Yes, and that's I covered that in this book. Yeah, and that's why I chose that. Once we get into the book, we'll get into some of that stuff. But yeah,
so those are just kind of my personal experiences. There have been a few others. You know, when Barrett was little, like maybe I'm trying to think how old he would have been. Not quite 3, because Stella was a little baby. That was when revival kind of broke out at church. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy. We had like, what was it, like 6 weeks or something?
Yes. A long time. Yeah.
Lots of like services every night. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Moving of the Holy Spirit, people being healed, delivered, saved. It was amazing. But during that time, we were kind of going through some things at home where like, I couldn't. So Cody, because of his job, he, you know, works for himself. There would be a lot of nights he would be home late. And I could not go in my house without him.
Really?
I was
like out of a spirit of fear.
I was terrified to take Barrett in and for me and him to be there alone.
Wow.
And I could not figure out, like, it had not always been that way. Could not figure out why I was feeling that way. But I would literally sit in the car for hours because I just would not go in without him. And started kind of talking to some of our pastoral staff at the time. And our worship pastor then was like, hey, I think there might be something spiritual happening there. I think you need to talk to the Lord about that and see what's going on. So we started praying and asking the Lord, like, hey, you know, open our eyes, reveal to us anything that we may have unintentionally brought in or allowed in. Yeah. That's messing. And Barrett would not go to his own room. He would not even go play in his room. And if he started out in there, he would immediately come back out, or after a few minutes, and he would just say, Mommy, I'm scared. And he would not stay in his room. And so finally one night I was like, Barrett, what's going on? Like, why don't you want to play in your room? He goes, it's in there. It's in there. And I was like, oh my word. What's in where? And he's like, it's in there and it's scary. I mean, he's little. Like, I mean, he's 2.5, almost 3. So he can communicate. Yeah. But not in a super articulate way. Yeah. And he was scared and there was something in his room. He couldn't put it to words, but he knew something was off. Yeah. You know, and so, and I was like kind of trying to brush it off, but then I was like, you know what? The word says that unless we be like little children, we will not enter the kingdom of heaven. So I probably should not brush this off. Yeah. And so I started praying, and we did end up anointing that house as well and praying and felt something break. Like there wasn't anything like where I saw it leave or anything like that, but I felt peace. Like I was finally able to be in my house and be at peace. Yeah. And so I felt like whatever had been there was gone. So fast forward to like a couple months later, we're watching TV and there's some ad on for some weird TV show that was coming up. And it had what I would have considered kind of demonic looking characters in it. And in one of them, there's a person that had like a goat's head with horns. Oh, yeah. It just looked gross. It just demonic. Yeah, and Barrett starts hollering at the TV. He goes, Mom, that's it. And I was like, I paused it. I was like, that's what? And he goes, that's what was in my room. Oh my goodness. So I don't know. Like I hadn't brought that up in months. And it wasn't a TV show you watched. No, it was an ad for something that we would have never watched. Yeah. You know, and so I was just like, that thing is what you saw. So I started doing some research and looking up different things, you know, and as you do. And I mean, it's a thing. Like it was an actual physical representation of a demonic entity. Yeah. And so I have no doubt that this stuff exists and happens. And that's why you really do have to be careful. On guard. Be on your guard. In what you consume. Yeah. So I think TV shows, movies, reading material. Music. I think music is one of the most spiritually influenced forms of media out there today.
Yeah.
And I think it has everything to do with who Lucifer was.
Yes. Lucifer was the main worship leader in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. And so doesn't it make sense that that's an area that he would attack?
Yeah.
And that he would try to influence. And I think it has a huge influence today. If you watch any sort of, I won't watch any televised like award shows or anything anymore because it's
evil.
It's straight up evil.
It
every
is.
time.
Like, these people are not even, Hollywood's not even,
They're not even
trying to hide their evil.
Yeah. And so, I think that those are all, like, the culture today, I think it has more of an audience today, and it's more open today than it's ever been. But I still think people are kind of blind to it or don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Or are fearful of it. And, the word tells us we don't have to live in a spirit of fear. He has not given us that. He's given us power and love and a sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that over the last couple of years I have really been learning from the Lord is that I have authority through Christ.
Yes.
And that I am not subject to those things.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm not subject to the attacks of the enemy, that like I don't have to just lay down and take it.
Yeah.
I can fight back with the word. I can fight back with scripture. And so I've really been trying to make an effort to do that more. And I think it's vital. Like, it's been vitally important for me.
Yeah.
And I think in this day and age with the way the world is going, we all need to be more aware.
I want to talk about something about that when we get to it, if we have time. I actually got a note from a woman, an email. She was she was a mean girl, but the book struck a chord with some of her demons.
Absolutely. And I think that happens. Absolutely. I've heard people say kind of flippantly, like, the spirit inside of me, the Holy Spirit inside of me irritates the spirits around them.
Yes.
And I think that absolutely happens.
Yeah.
100%. And you did a really great job of illustrating that in your book, of like how literally the angels, as they started encouraging their charges, the fallen angels are like, like it would infuriate them.
Yes.
And I think that truly is probably, I think if our eyes were opened for half a second to what is happening in the spiritual level all around us every day, we couldn't handle it.
No.
Like, I just don't think we can handle it.
It would be terrifying and beautiful all at the same time.
Yeah, I think so too. So let's get into the book, because all of that is kind of contained in this.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of give the rundown, or?
So I do want to say, and I do have an author's note in the book, because the topic of spiritual warfare, just like anything else in the church, you've got people that are going to think a little bit differently about this, a little bit differently about that. This is one of those things that's not a salvation issue.
Nope.
Is everything that I wrote in the book exactly the way it is in the spiritual realm? I don't know. I've never seen the spiritual realm.
Right.
But I will say, I based this book, as I wrote this book, I based it off of Job.
Hey, listen.
I had Job in my mind as I wrote it.
The Lord allowed him to be attacked.
Yes.
The Lord allowed all of those things. He just told Satan, you just can't kill him.
Yes. He put parameters around. Yes. And that was my whole.
Because you reference that a lot.
Uh-huh.
Like, we are not permitted to intervene.
Yes.
We are not permitted to. And I believe that that's how that works. And I think that the word says it, the testing of our faith, or it produces good things within us.
Yes. It brings character. It brings perseverance. Yeah.
And I think when as you walk through this, you kind of see that, like, it is growth happening in our lives. Mm-hmm. It's uncomfortable usually.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely not comfortable. Yeah. So I just want to say, this is a fiction book, and fiction means sometimes you take creative liberty.
Yes.
So,
and you don't claim to like have had a vision of this is how it is or anything like that.
No, this is just a product of my imagination.
Yeah.
But I did try to make it as biblically based as I could be.
Yeah.
I gave, and you kind of alluded to that just now, I gave the demons and the angels, especially the demons, I gave them like the demon of anger.
Yes.
I gave them specific.
But I think that that's actually biblical and scriptural.
Do you?
Well, maybe not scriptural.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't know
that they have specialties. I do think that they have specialties.
That's the word I was trying to think of. Yeah, I gave them specialties within their realm. I don't know. I'm not dogmatic that that's how it works.
But it would make sense, right? That like if Satan, I mean, Lucifer, when he was in heaven, he had a job, right? Like he was the worship leader of heaven.
Yes.
So it would make sense that as the angels are fallen, then they have jobs that they do.
Yeah, so I had demons of confusion, demons of anger, demons, where their specialty was attacking with that specific
Yes.
specialty.
And I mean, maybe it's because I've grown up in it, but to me that made 100% sense. Like,
Okay.
I never, for
See,
1 minute,
it did to me too.
It never was odd to me. It was like, oh, this makes sense. I get where you're going with this.
I'm not 100% dogmatic
That's how
that
it is.
all of this is how this works.
No, this is such an area of like, we don't know what we don't know.
We have a very limited knowledge of how the spiritual. So I do, in the author's note, I was very careful to make sure people understood. Take it with a grain of salt, because
Sure.
this is just honestly, at the end of the day, I use the methods I use to propel the story along.
Yeah.
Because it is fiction. If you want a biblical examination of what the spiritual warfare not that. And Frank Peretti actually said this. He said, if you want a biblical step-by-step, picture of what the Bible says about it, don't read my book. Read the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. And so everything we consume should be weighed and tested against the word.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I personally thoroughly enjoyed the story.
I'm so glad.
Their main character is a gentleman named Jenner Alexson, and he's a worship leader. And so, I mean, automatically I'm in, right? Because I'm a worshiper. And so
exactly.
I love that.
And that's why I made him
a
worship leader. That's why I made him a worship leader, because you and I have served on the worship team.
Yeah.
Music and worship is our heart.
And we know its value and its importance. And especially, I think, in a congregational setting, like it opens your heart. It prepares you to receive the word. I think it opens my ears to hear, my heart to receive.
Yeah.
Kind of softens things.
Yeah.
And so the job that Jenner has spiritually is very important.
It is very important. So I opened the book with Lucifer and Malum. They're on a hill miles away from the fictional town of...
Except he's not Lucifer anymore now, right? He's Satan.
He's Satan, yeah. Yeah. What's the name of the town? Cape Kennington, North Carolina. Fictional town. And they're basically... And this is the only time. Sometimes I question whether I should have put Satan in the very first chapter. Because, I worried that seeing Satan portrayed might turn readers off.
This isn't me. I thought it really kind of made sense, because it's like, he's not going to be there every day, right? Like,
right.
He's sending his minions to do
his
work.
Here's the thing about Satan. He's not like God. He's not omniscient.
He's not omniscient.
He's not omnipotent.
That's right. He can't be everywhere all at once.
No, he can't read our minds. He can only read our visual cues, the things we say.
That's right.
Him and his minions. And so they're up on they're miles away, but they're noticing increased spiritual activity going on in this town. And so they're like, oh my goodness, what's going on there? Yeah. And so they have sent their...
And don't you think that actually probably happens? Like, think about the world and how there will be regions that are in turmoil.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's just a consequence of like bad politics or whatever is happening. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is spiritual.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah. Probably most of it.
Yeah. I wrote this in a way that for the first, I think, 5 or 6 chapters, it's each realm on its own. Mm-hmm. You have a couple of scenes where it's sort of is setting up the demons, the fallen angels, and their interactions with each other. Then you get a chapter on the earthly realm with Jenner. That's where you meet Jenner and his family and his friends for the first time. And then about chapter 6, 7, somewhere around there, the 2 realms converge. And then the reader starts experiencing both worlds at the same time. I kind of wanted to set up each individual.
I thought that was a nice, slow kind of introduction into it, right? So like you get a feel for who each person is.
And each realm.
And each realm. And then it's like, now this is how they connect. This is how this is happening day to day.
Yes.
Very good. His little wife, Hyacinth, I think she's a saint. Mm-hmm. And then I loved your comedic relief in Camden and Lucas. Like, they're fun, right? And Ellie, she was probably my favorite character in the whole book. And I called you when I finished it. Yeah. And I was like, Brett, what have you done?
Yeah. And we will talk about that in a spoiler zone. I'm kind of toying around because I'm not as well read as Frank Peretti. Like on Frank Peretti's books or on a Francine Rivers books, I don't really mind giving spoilers on those if the books are several years old. Like if it were a brand new book, I wouldn't, because we don't.
Relatively new.
But I was like, do I want to give spoilers on this book? Because
I need to.
I
think people need to go read it for themselves.
Yeah, so we may give a few spoilers in a spoiler zone. I'm kind of like, I want to protect my book a little because there's a lot of people that haven't read it.
Yeah. And honestly, you should read it. It's an excellent story. And even if maybe you're on the fence about whether or not this really happens, it's a good read. You'll enjoy the read anyway.
Yeah.
And you'll become invested in the characters. I'm very invested in a couple that are in the second story. I haven't read the second book yet. So I told him, I was like, I've got to go do that because I really want to know what happens to these two.
Yeah.
Well,
I got a email from a Satanist a couple years ago.
No, you did not.
About this book.
About this book?
About this
what
book.
What did they say?
Yes, he picked up and he was a super nice guy.
I mean, he's a nice person, right? So.
Yeah, and he it's been a couple years, so he was like, hey, I picked up your book. I'm real interested in spiritual warfare. And
what was his experience on that side of it? So he was still practicing active.
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
He's an active Satanist. And he said, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. He said, I almost didn't pick it up because it was Christian fiction. And he said, but the one thing I don't like about it, I really wish you wouldn't portray Satan as this horrible, because Satan loves us just like God does.
Oh my gosh.
See, so that's where.
So deceived.
That's where his deception was.
Wow.
Super nice guy. He was like, I would love.
And it sounds like very respectful.
And he was the only reader. He was like, could we talk? Wow. And this was before we started the podcast.
So did you talk to him?
I did.
And how did that go?
I was like, I normally don't, because with your cell phones, anybody can,
Sure.
So I actually called him. I was like, if you want to give me your number, I'll call you. And we'd actually talked 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And
man, Brett,
he was very respectful, full of questions. I mean, about God and about,
planting a seed, right? Like that is what you did.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
But his biggest thing was, he's like, I just find it so regrettable that Satan is depicted as this horrible person that wants to mess everyone up, that's out to destroy everyone. Well, that's what the Bible says. He's a roaring lion seeking those whom he can devour.
Yeah.
And of course, I got the whole, the Bible's a book of fiction.
Okay, and so that's where it comes down to is like, do you believe that the Word of God is the infallible truth?
Yes. And of course, with being a Satanist, he didn't. Not. He doesn't believe that. But
I think that's so neat that you were able to have that discourse with someone on the complete opposite side of things.
I totally enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to like having conversations with someone.
Yeah.
Where you can hear tone and you can hear inflection and you can hear their heart and their intent.
And he went like through the book. It's almost like he annotated the book, and he was like, well, I want to talk about this and I want to talk about this. And,
that's amazing.
And
I think that's
wonderful. Very last time I talked to him, he asked me to pray with him.
Oh, Brett.
He asked me to pray with him about something that was going on in his life.
I have chills all over my arms.
Yeah. Of course, I didn't know at the time that was going to be the last time we talked. But I said, I'm so grateful the Lord gave me the opportunity to talk to you. I said, I'm so glad he put it in your heart to contact me, because in my mind, Satanists are bad people. Satanists,
he's not a bad person, right? He's just deceived.
Yeah, his only sin is that he's deceived.
And I think that like for me, that's kind of where I fall with like everything that's happening in the world today with the culture, the climate, the way that it is. No one person has it all right.
Yeah.
Spiritually, politically, any kind of way.
Yeah.
No one person has all of the answers and has it exactly right.
Exactly.
And so when I encounter someone that I, am at complete odds with on something, I just have to think, okay, Lord, if there's anything in and this is my prayer, whatever in me is deceived, show me so that I can be correct.
Yeah. Shine your light
to the dark places
in my heart.
Yes. Yeah. And then if the other is truly deceived, then put people in their path to help lead them to truth. And that's what you were. You were a person in his path that I believe someday, like,
the Lord will water that seed.
Those seeds are not planted. And I mean, because he is good to bring forth fruit, right? And to bring forth a harvest.
Yes.
That's super exciting.
I hope and pray. The reason I said that is sometimes we tend to villainize people, and again, I'm not saying that probably all Satanists are not like him. There probably are some mean as a snake Satanists out there.
But Brett, there are Christians that are mean as snakes.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to get right down to it.
There are some Christians I don't like because they're mean as a snake and unlikable.
Hateful.
Yes.
Self-righteous.
I mean, I'm just saying, Halloween is the one time to see people's hypocrisy in the church.
Oh, man. Last year was the first time since I've had kids that we didn't do anything. We did not do anything. Like, I didn't buy any costumes. We didn't dress up. We didn't go trick-or-treating. And
is it because are your kids too old for it, or
they did not bring up one time anything about it? And so I was like,
I bet that was nice.
I'm not doing it. It was so peaceful. Like, we went home, we made pizza, we ate dinner and watched Star Wars together. Like,
yeah,
and so I just thought, to not be caught up in like the chaos of it. And
yeah.
And frankly, my kids are little banana nutcases when they are on that much sugar.
Yeah.
It's like weeks of coming down from it after.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this is experience for every parent out there, but when my kids do go to like events, they would come home with obscene amounts of candy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there would be years that I would be throwing away candy from last year before we went to the event for this year. You know,
Yeah.
that's too much candy for any person.
Yeah.
And my kids,
it's
go
almost
crazy.
a waste.
It is.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't want any part of that this year. And so when they didn't bring it up, I didn't bring it up. And it was the most peaceful, chill evening.
Well, a lot of times I turn the porch light on, hand out candy, and watch Christmas movies. That's my Halloween night most nights. Most Halloweens. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So
I'm not like, again, I'm not trying to villainize the holiday. It was just not about that for me this year. And I was so glad. Like I was so, But Bellamy, she and I stopped in the Dollar General yesterday and she got a sucker, out of the bucket. And so she was content. Like to her, that was enough.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, Lord, and I just had been asking him, like, I don't want to do this. And I think he just kind of smoothed the way for me. And it wasn't a thing this year.
They have they have a couple of candy bars rather than a pound of candy bars.
Than a mound of them.
And I get that Halloween's not for everyone. The reason we're talking about Halloween is because at the time of recording, Halloween was yesterday. This will probably come out closer to Thanksgiving.
But I think Halloween is also a time, like, now I don't know this for a fact, but I have seen interviews with people that are involved in the occult that they say that they actually do all sorts of rites and rituals and spiritual attacks on that day.
Yes. Okay. But here's the deal. I really think those people, okay, if you're Anton LaVey, if you're a former Satanist, if you are a former witch, if you're anything like that, yes, you probably need to stay away from it because you're more susceptible to it.
I think so. Absolutely right.
People like us, we don't go into Halloween thinking, I'm going to accidentally worship Satan today. Like I went to my friend Christina's house last night.
Did you Did you hand out glow sticks again?
Well, handed out glow sticks.
I love it.
And I love watching the kids have sword fights. Every time they have sword fights with their glow sticks. And so we hand out candy. Not one time did I think about Satan.
Right.
Not one time did I think about anything evil. It was just, I love watching the kids, just the joy on their face when they get free candy, when they get free glow sticks,
goodies, treats.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's not for everyone, but here's the one thing that really rubbed me about it. All month long, I've had one Facebook friend, like literally every day she's posted, Halloween is evil. Halloween is evil. Halloween is evil. If you celebrate Halloween, your conscience is seared, blah, blah, blah. What did she post on her Facebook profile the day of Halloween?
Come to our church's fall festival.
Yes. Her kids were dressed up. They were doing all the things that anyone does on Halloween.
Is that any, I mean, you are celebrating it.
Do you not see your hypocrisy?
You are condemning yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I get it. If you are against it and
that's not even why we didn't do it this year. Like, it wasn't like I was taking a stand of like, oh, I think this is evil. I don't want any part of it. It was just not a priority.
They didn't ask and you didn't encourage.
And so I was like, Lord, maybe this is that. Maybe this is just you setting us kind of free from having to mess with that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm telling you, candy is expensive this year.
Oh, listen, when we had that last podcast and you asked me those questions, $3 billion.
$3 billion.
$3 billion in candy.
Or was it $5 billion? I think it was $3 billion.
It was 3.
Yeah.
Because I guessed 500 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
That's insane.
And even, I wonder if that number has changed any this year.
With
the economy the way that
it has to. I bought a couple of bags to take to work to put in my little candy dish, and 2 bags, like regular size bags that back in the day would have been, probably 3 or 4 years ago, would have been like $3.99, $4.99 a bag.
What'd you pay, like
$8.99?
Yeah, almost $10.
I mean, they're double the price
for the same amount,
and it's a good thing because my waistline doesn't need a lot of candy, so it's a good thing. It's cost prohibitive,
right?
But, it's just staggering how expensive things are.
It is, and it's staggering to me how willing we as Americans are to spend our money on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are our priorities out of line?
Our priorities are sadly out of line. And I'm pointing at myself because I buy a lot of junk that I shouldn't. But yeah. So anyway.
We see Satan and
Malum
talking, and they're like, okay, we're going to...
Malum is kind of like one of the higher ranking. Yeah, he's just under Satan.
I will say, though, I noticed this. Like, to me, the names of the demons were not... Like, they were just kind of feeling. Did you do that on purpose?
Do you know how I came up with the demons' names?
How?
You cannot have a demon named Bill.
No. That might be a hilarious comic strip to write, though.
Yeah, I said that when we were talking about Frank Peretti, because we were talking about his demons' names. And she was like,
Is it hard to make up names for characters?
Well, it is. For characters in general.
Just like in a setting like this, like.
Oh, you mean for demons?
Yeah, for the demons.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so and so we were kind of talking about that, and I said, well, you can't have a demon named Bill, and Melanie goes, I would actually like to read a book about a demon named Bill.
You might have to write that for her.
Yeah, I might have to write that for her. Do you know how I came up with the names for the demons?
How?
I took because like I said, I gave them like the demon of anger, the demon of whatever. I looked up like anger and like what the
origins?
like the Greek version of that word, the Greek or the Hebrew or the whatever.
That's so smart, Brett.
Yeah, and so I looked up what that word what the root word is in like Greek or Hebrew, and then I used like condensed versions of that and used it as their names.
That's super cool, Brett. Yeah. That is super intelligent. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago at church at home, they had a whole like couple of weeks, months more than that. It was maybe like a month where they talked about spiritual warfare and demonic, like how to battle demonic activity. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman that they had helping with that, he was saying that when he thinks about the demons, the way he battles them is like you have to battle against what they are, because it's not just a spirit of fear. That spirit is fear. That is, they are what their name is.
Yeah.
And like, so if it's rage, he is a demon of rage. He literally feels that. And you did such a good job of illustrating that in this, of like, they weren't kind to each other. Like you think of it almost as like sides, right?
They hate each other as much as they hate us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I had never really thought of it that way. Like of how they probably do treat each other terribly.
Yeah.
Because they hate everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And like some of the higher ranking demons, they would, and again, I don't know if this is actually what happens. I had this fictional, I called it the pits. The demons called it the pits. It was basically
the
hell.
Worst of the worst.
Yeah. And there were times in the book where one of the higher ranking demons, it would be like, well, how dare you be insubordinate to me?
I'll send you to the pits.
I'll banish you to the pits.
Yeah.
And the demons trembled at the thought of being, they know that that's their fate eventually.
Yeah.
But they were terrified of and so, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really great.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get into it here a little bit. When we meet Jenner, he's hanging out in their pool because it's hot.
They're in a heat wave. Yeah.
And the pool is kind of a central like location that pops up a lot throughout the book. And I love that because like I could see that being a place of contentment and peace for most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're water people. I do not particularly enjoy it, but if you're a water person, like that's probably something you want to do.
Get on with your bad self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we see that a lot. And they spend a lot of time in Jenner and Hyacinth's home. All of the characters.
Yeah, our characters around Jenner and Hyacinth, they're very close. They're all in the worship team together.
Yes, and they travel and sing on the weekends, right? And like even through the weeks.
Now they're not Jenner's not like a nationally well known.
It's more like regional.
It's more regional. He's not like super famous. Yeah. I didn't want him to be.
But his star is kind of rising.
Yeah,
kind of rising. And so they're just all hanging out. Lucas and Camden are his instrumentalists, and Camden sings a little bit. Hyacinth is his wife. She just strikes me.
And they're kind of a little bit of the
comedic relief
in the book. Yeah.
And they're fun. Like when I was thinking about this, I was like, I know these guys. Like I've met these guys. I've hung around guys like this. Like, that are just buddies and hanging out and chilling. But then when it comes down to it, when Jenner really needs them, they're there. Like, and they're serious.
Yeah.
And they're solid.
They do have time to be serious. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what were you saying about Hyacinth?
I just loved Hyacinth. I thought she was so classy and just so like what I want to be as a wife, right? Like supportive and kind, but she's a woman of deep faith. Mm-hmm. And you see that like everything Hyacinth says, even when things get really, really dark and really hard.
Yeah.
She's always pointing Jenner back to Christ.
She kind of is in the background of their ministry. She sort of, she's in the ministry office. She works with the bus driver.
Side.
Yeah. She works with the bus driver to make sure all the bus maintenance is done.
And in case
she's
you don't know it,
intercessor.
Yes. And in case you don't know it, like ministries have an administrative side. They
do. Yeah. They can't function without the administrative side.
That's right.
They are just as important as the people who are on the stage.
Yeah. So like they're hanging out, and Hyacinth notices that Jenner's just kind of off, and she asks him what's going on, and he just tells her that like at the service Friday night, he just got hit with this sense out of nowhere that like he wasn't making a difference and he should quit.
He comes home from a trip and he's not his normal self. He's just sort of down for no reason. And it's to the point that Hyacinth even realizes it. Yeah.
Which, you know, as spouses, like, it's pretty easy. I can tell pretty much as soon as Cody walks in the door.
Even if he's trying to cover it,
Yeah.
you know,
You can
something's
tell.
a little off.
Especially when you live with someone for very long. Like, you learn to read each other. And so that was I was like, that's spot on. I know exactly how that feels.
Yeah. And I'm not even married.
Yeah. But you know, human interaction, and you know the people that you're close to, you can tell when
Oh, totally. Yeah. My best
going through
friend,
something.
I know when they've had a cruddy day.
Yeah. So Hyacinth is like, you know what? You're just not being yourself. Maybe let's go see the doctor. You know, just trying to be supportive and encouraging and taking care of her husband.
Yeah.
So then we cut to another scene of those fallen angels, and Anemi, he's the demon of discouragement, right? That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was discouraged. We find out that feeling that Jenner had of just that he wasn't making a difference, that was an attack from Anemi, a direct attack on him.
One of the central themes about this book is discouragement, depression. I didn't want Jenner to be attacked by something like alcohol,
right,
or drugs, or sex addiction, or pornography. Those are what we all know those things are,
and they're all visible
detrimental,
as sinful, right?
Yes, those are sinful.
Against
we all know those are sinful. This
is not anything that he has done to bring it on himself.
No, and that's why I chose this tact, because when I was writing the book, I struggled with what was I going to have be his vice. And of course, I went through all the normal things that I want him to take up drinking. I didn't want any of that for Jenner. But then it hit me. I want to take the subtle approach.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that's how Satan works in our lives. He doesn't always come at us screaming and shouting.
Very rarely does he do that.
Yeah.
He's very sneaky.
And I think it can be, I don't think Satan and his minions, I don't think they come to us
with a full force attack.
Yes, I think it's progressive.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they try this tack, and then if that doesn't work, they push it a little further. Push it a little further. So that's why I chose offense. Offense really is what it boils down to. And this lady that wrote me, she was livid that I wrote a book where the character was offended. She was like, he is as deep as a puddle. If he was so worried, because part of it does boil down to,
she must be a woman of extreme confidence then, because frankly, I related to Jenner on so many levels.
So did I, but she was livid.
I'm as deep as a
puddle. She hated that Hyacinth was a snob who all she cared about was nice clothes and spending money. Where she got that, I don't know, because
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, literally, she nitpicked every little thing. And I'm like, maybe there's something in your life that you need to address.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Zaphius. My buddy Justin named Zaphius.
Really?
Yeah. I kind of, when I got into it, I contacted him and I was like, okay, I'm writing a spiritual warfare book. I said, you get to name one of my demons. And that's the name he chose. Cool. Yeah.
And he's kind of right under Malum in the order of things. Again, kind of a commander, a general or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we see him talking to Anemi, and he's kind of mocking Anemi and being like, I can't believe you thought discouragement would work, yada, 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 and threatens to send him to the pits.
But how many people have lost their faith because they were discouraged about something?
Yeah. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And
it's not that far-fetched.
They take the smallest little thing.
Do you think they can kind of amplify it in someone's mind?
Oh, I think they absolutely do. Listen, I've been talking to my husband about this. I fight my mind more than I fight anything else.
Oh, same.
It's so annoying.
That's why the Bible says you have to
take every thought captive.
Yes, you have to renew your mind every day through
reading
Scripture. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's a battle some days where I'm just like, would you just shut up? Like,
and it's not an easy discipline to have in your life.
No.
And again, I think it probably is a tactic of the enemy.
I know it is.
The enemy loves to make you too busy to pick up your Bible.
And often
too
I
busy
have to sit there and be like,
prayer.
Yeah. Well, and so I'll, and if I'm feeling especially discouraged or down, because I tend to struggle with like, self-doubt in a big way. And so if I'm feeling particularly down on myself, then a lot of times, sometimes it takes way longer than it should, I'll admit, to be like, wait a minute, When was the last time I spent any time in the Word?
Yeah.
When was the last time I spent any time sitting with the Lord?
If we're totally honest with ourselves, most of us can probably say that.
I have no problem being that real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm home with 3 little kids all day, and there are some days I don't stop from the minute I wake up until I go to bed.
They're almost like a vacuum in your life.
They suck up all my time.
We love them, but kids are a time suck.
They are. They really are. Like, they're the biggest blessing, but also the biggest challenge of my life as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, no children come with a handbook.
No.
I mean, the only handbook we got is the Word. And I mean, my kids are all so different.
Yeah.
Not at all alike. What works for one does not work on another.
They're not cookie cutter.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So as we move on through the book, we meet another character, Arnold Collins, and we learn that he's married to a lady named Alice. Arnold is a long haul trucker, has been for his whole life, and his wife Alice stays home and smokes cigarettes and plays bridge.
Cards, yeah.
Plays cards.
Yeah.
With her neighbors, and she's got an awful mouth.
That's all they do all day long.
They sit and chain smoke and play cards.
Yes.
And you know what? I think there's a lot of people out there that probably do those things.
Yeah.
She was a very believable character.
Yeah.
Although I struggled with her, like, she was very abrasive towards her spouse.
She's very unloving.
Arnold kind of has this part of him that, like, is longing for love, I think.
He's always been like Alice. You know, like their relationship. That's why I wanted to write a part 2 to the book, because I wanted... I get more emails about Arnold than I do.
I told you I can't wait to read the second one, because I have to know what happens with Arnold and Alice.
I have had so many people like that I know personally, and people that have just emailed me. They've been like, "Oh my goodness, Arnold is not a character that really I would like in real life, but I love Arnold."
I think he's so relatable, though.
Yeah,
as an individual, like just this imperfect person that is looking for answers and looking for love. And isn't that what all of us
And
want?
Arnold is at a turning point in his life, and he doesn't even know it yet.
No, he just knows that he's been hearing about this Jesus thing, and he's got all these questions about it, right? And he doesn't know even where to get answers. He's not sure.
And that's kind of why I did it the way I did, because Arnold kind of, you know, he's salty, he's crusty, he's just like Alice. Well, he sort of hears a message on the radio. And
happens all the time.
And it plants thoughts in his mind, and that's how I planted that seed in his heart. So,
and I believe that is absolutely accurate, that happens.
Yeah, something mundane can plant a seed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we kind of he's heard that sermon, it's stuck in his head, and he's like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So then we meet Ellie, who is the keyboardist for the band.
Love Ellie.
She's one of my favorite characters.
And again, Ellie is very different.
Why did you give her multicolored hair?
Okay.
I have to know.
Because I wanted Ellie to be very unconventional. Because
she's definitely that. But also, like,
but she's a
so
very
loving.
Strong Christian.
Absolutely.
She's an intercessor.
I think she was such a great example of, like, do not judge a book by its cover.
That's why I
Never
wrote her
judge
like
a
that.
book by its cover.
I did not want her to look like you and me, but I wanted to show that somebody that doesn't look like you and me can still be a warrior for the kingdom.
Yes.
And Ellie was a warrior for the kingdom.
She absolutely was.
Yeah.
And for her bandmates, like, she took that very seriously.
She did.
Role is, because she was an intercessor too. And we find out later that Ellie and Hyacinth are pretty good friends.
Yes.
And that they speak a lot outside of band things and spend time together. And so, like, I figured that was one of their things to do together, was to pray for the team and for the band and for the hearts that would be encountered.
Yeah.
And isn't that such a thing? Like, if you're in any sort of ministry at all, the hope is that you spend time praying over what you're doing. And that we're bringing forth the message that the Lord once brought forth.
Yeah.
Not even ministry related, but every day that we live as Christians, we are meant to make an impact where we go.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that it's not coincidence, the people that we meet each day or that we run into, that we have conversations with. And I'm guilty of not often recognizing until it's too late. Like, that was a moment that I should have been paying a little more attention to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more sensitive to the voice of the Lord and to the nudging of the Holy Spirit. It's easy, like you said, to be distracted and busy.
So Ellie, I don't remember what color she has when we meet her. She has cobalt blue hair. She has
red,
purple hair.
Bright red.
Yeah, and there's one scene toward the end where she and Jenner kind of meet up, and he's like, "Oh, you changed your hair color," and it was like I guess she had some sort of burgundy hair color or whatever. I think at this point it's purple or something, and she goes, "Yeah, the burgundy was too realistic. I don't want people to think I'm trying to fit into social norms or whatever, something like that."
She knew who she was, though, and she was secure in her identity in Christ, so she felt comfortable expressing herself.
I kind of wanted her to be the antithesis of the stereotypical Christian.
She's the antithesis of Hyacinth. who is
Totally.
so put together and so classy and just like what you expect from a proper Southern lady.
But she and Hyacinth were the same
But
spiritually.
that's
kinda.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. I thought that was great.
Mhm.
I love Ellie. So they go to band practice. Jenner had written a new song. She helps him figure out some chords through it. And I mean, it's like really hitting, right? It's being good. And then Jenner just, again, hits this wall.
Yes.
That has happened to me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
In worship services.
How many times have you woke up on Saturday morning and just had this like lead balloon in your heart, like, I don't want to be on stage today?
Oh, on Sundays.
I don't think that's
And
not us. That's the enemy trying to get us from going, because I really do see what we do on stage as worship singers.
Yeah.
I do see that as a type of war.
Oh, absolutely. It's warfare.
Yeah.
There's that whole story in the Old Testament about how they were getting ready to go to battle. And instead of sending out like their warriors first, they sent out the
worshipers. Yeah.
And had them sing. And that's how they won the battle.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I think is a perfect example of like what it is to be in worship ministry at any level.
And we see that in Jenner a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the title came from, War Songs. I struggled with the title for a while. I didn't want to have the word war in a book because I was afraid people would think, when people think of war, they think of the Civil War.
Sure.
World War I. I didn't want people to think it's a war of the spirit.
But it is truly like, it is warfare.
And as Satan is attacking him, because he's not only being attacked, like we said earlier, God puts parameters on what the enemy can do in a believer's life.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that the angels did throughout the book. When Jenner
they're combating it with encouragement.
Yeah, they would be encouraging in his heart, use your war songs. His war songs.
Remember
because
the scriptures, sing the scriptures.
Yes, and that's what he encouraged Jenner to do. Sometimes Jenner would sing scripture. Sometimes he would just sing a worship song that popped into his heart. Because when you're a worship singer, sometimes it's hard to get that song out when your heart's not into it.
Heart's heavy.
And I wanted Jenner to experience that. And I wanted him to have to push through and sing when he didn't want to.
Yeah. And can I tell you
that sacrifice of praise?
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's been a personal journey for me over the last few years of like just different the season that we've kind of walked through. Shamefully, I can think of times in specific where like I would hit a platform and I would be so frustrated of all the stuff that had led up to me getting to practice right. And then it would just weigh me down and people would say, hey, are you okay? Like they could see it from the outside. Well, that should not be the case. Right. And so one of the things, I'm not saying that you should like put a mask on or whatever, but I was not spiritually mature enough, I guess, to recognize what was going on and to take authority over it. So the last few years, as I have kind of walked through some things with the Lord, that's been a thing that he's been teaching me is like, even if you don't feel it, are you going to give me that sacrifice of praise?
Yeah.
Because he's worthy of it, whether I feel it or not, no matter what's happening in my life.
Exactly. Worship is not about me. It's
what is
about
the motivation of my
glorifying
heart?
him.
That's right.
Yes.
What is the motivation of your heart in worship?
He deserves my worship, even when I don't feel like it.
And sometimes you just have to worship through what you're going through.
You do. And that's hard.
It can be very difficult.
It can be very hard.
But it is rewarding.
It is. Yeah.
When you can push through that and truly, like my prayer now every time before I hit a platform is, Lord, whatever is in me that might distract me from you, remove it. Let there be nothing in me that will hinder the flow of your spirit through me. Let there be nothing that distracts my thoughts and my mind from you. Help me to set my gaze upon you and to truly worship you in spirit and in truth. I mean, I have to I have to pray this every time and say it every time. And maybe someday it'll just be the overflow of I've done it enough that it's just natural.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is work.
Yeah, it is. Totally. Yeah.
And I think Jenner, it seems like to me up to this point, he kind of had a charmed life. And so he wasn't really used to having to deal with attacks like this.
Yeah. And on the surface, if you want to look at it from terms of, again, judging the book by the cover, Jenner was really no one. That's why I didn't want to make him rich. I didn't want to make him famous because
that comes with its own set of temptations and problems.
Well,
right?
It does. And you can understand why Satan would want to attack a Jeremy Camp level worship leader.
Absolutely.
Or he doesn't have a lot of clout. It doesn't make a lot of sense that Satan would attack someone like him. But really it does if you start. And that's one thing the woman said. It doesn't make any sense that Jenner, he's nobody. Why would Satan attack him? If he's impacting people's lives in a positive way, if he's working for the kingdom in any amount of way, that makes Satan and the demons nervous.
And I think that's a great point. You don't have to have a platform to be effective for the kingdom of God.
Yes.
And many times he just uses regular
people
to touch others for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
So Jenner, they're in another service, and man, he starts to believe that he's prideful.
Yes.
Okay, here's the one thing I feel about that. If you are prideful, you do not recognize it.
For sure.
I don't think. Do you think?
I don't know that they can see it in themselves.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody
that is that way.
That struggles with pride.
Mm.
And I don't think they see it in themselves.
And I think that pride is an issue for all of us in different ways, right? Like the conversation you and I were having before about, I was telling you that I didn't want to admit defeat about something. And my husband says to me, well, it's not admitting defeat. What that is pride coming to life in you. And you're like, oh. And I mean, it literally, when he said that to me, I did that. I go, and he goes, I know. He said, because I had this whole thought process on the way home.
And that's why he is a gem of a man.
Because you
need people in your life that will call you out.
And so he just and he said to me, he said, I had the same thought. And he said, we cannot allow that to live in our lives. We have to put it to death. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's a thing, right? Like pride presents itself in so many different ways.
It's not cookie cutter.
But for someone like him to just immediately be hit with this sense of shame that he was doing it for the wrong reasons, that he was wanting the glory.
That he's never had that. He's never struggled with that.
When it has never been the case. And no one around him, because he has good, godly people around him that would say, like Cody, that's pride coming to life in you. And you need to put that to death.
Check yourself.
Ellie would have said that to him. Hyacinth would have said that to him.
Yeah.
And so for no one else to recognize that to me is also a clue. Like, this is not just me. This is something spiritual happening. This is an attack. So let's talk a little bit about Janie.
Okay, so Janie
goes to church with Jenner and Hyacinth.
Yes.
And is in the choir.
Now, Jenner is he's on the road a lot. So he's not at church every Sunday at his home church.
Right.
Because he's on the road a lot. Yeah, he's ministering.
How would you describe Janie?
Okay, Janie, if there was any such thing as a human antagonist in this book, Janie would be it.
Yeah, I think so.
Janie is based off someone I know.
Is she?
Yes. Somebody I used to go to church with.
Okay.
That was horrible to me for no reason. And
that makes me so sad that happened in a church setting. But the truth of it is, it does.
It happens
all the time.
Yeah.
Like a mean girl.
Yes. And I tried to reach out, kind of like Jenner did. I tried to sneak in little, hey, how are you? Small talk. And the person literally would turn their back on me. Literally would not talk to me.
Just rude. Straight up rude.
Just rude. Yeah. Wow. Now, of course, their name was not Janie. But when you base a character off of a real person, if that person can recognize themselves in the character, you did not do your job as an author. Yeah. So she is based off of somebody that I know in real life.
And Janie really gets to Jenner. Like, he'll try to address her. He's almost like, what's the word? Like antagonistic towards him, just like, and belittling. Because she's younger than them and a cool kid or whatever.
But the interesting thing about Janie is, she thinks she's a top-notch Christian.
Oh, good Lord. And she's not. Like, she straight up, as you get further into the novel, she eschews the things of the Lord, really. In a way.
But she still thinks
she's
a good Christian.
Talk about deception.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's interesting. And then I kind of had the thought of like, well, I wonder what kind of church they're going to. Like, are they being
I don't think I ever said.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, what kind of sermons and things are they getting on a weekly basis? Like how,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I never delved into that. Yeah.
So he ends up getting his feelings hurt at choir practice. And so he sneaks off to a chapel and has an intimate time of worship with the Lord where his, I think of him as guardian angels, Hordeman, is encouraging him. Like, you remember, and this is where he kind of starts to lift his voice for the first time. And
because he goes to the chapel. Janie and her little crew have damaged his heart.
Yeah.
They've hurt his heart. And so he goes to the chapel because he can't deal with going through the charade of choir practice.
I think then from this point, what Jenner really struggles with is a spirit of offense. And there's definitely discouragement and, depression at play. But I think the biggest thing that he struggled with that I noted was this offense that he carried in his heart. Because from this point, it becomes a big issue.
Yes. And it grows.
Toward Janie and toward those other people in the congregation.
In
the choir.
Yeah.
Do you think it's easy to recognize when we are offended?
I mean, I always know when I'm offended.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to recognize. I don't think it's easy to acknowledge and say, okay, I need to address this in my life.
So maybe even if you know it within yourself, you don't want to acknowledge it out loud.
Yes, because...
What do you think the answer is once you do acknowledge it? As a Christian,
you mean how do you get over being offended?
What do we have to do?
I think it depends on, because if you don't get the offense under control, it can turn to bitterness.
Absolutely.
It can turn to anger,
unforgiveness,
and it does happen to Jenner in this.
And unforgiveness will keep you straight. It absolutely says if you do not forgive, then you will not be forgiven. So
yeah,
it is a salvation issue.
Yeah, and I believe it can even affect your health.
Absolutely. I think our bodies remember.
Yeah,
and carry things.
When it comes to offense, especially if you don't nip it in the bud right away, I think prayer and fasting and scripture, that's the only way. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. And I
don't think that's something you can just turn off in your mind.
No. But I think often not for me, I have to not dwell on the offense, right? Like I have to choose to not dwell on the offense.
Yes. And again, that's why the Bible says, think on things that are pure. That's how you renew your mind. You have to make a conscious. It is hard.
It's hard sometimes.
It is hard. We're not saying it's easy.
And if you don't feel that, because like church for me has always been a place of safety, right? A place of peace.
And it should be.
But if you are feeling attacked, then it doesn't feel that way.
It stops feeling like a refuge.
And then what?
Yeah.
You know, that's, I think, a lot of what drives people away when church hurt happens. And I kind of hate that term, but it's accurate. Like it absolutely is accurate.
I kind of hate to say this, and I don't know what the actual statistics on this statement are, but I would venture to guess that the biggest majority of people who quit the church do it because of church hurt.
Oh, I bet you're
They
right.
do it because fellow Christians have hurt them, stomped them down to the point that they turn their back on their faith.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I would be curious to find that out too. We might do a little research.
I should have done that before the podcast, but I didn't think about it. But yeah, I would venture to guess that Christians are their own worst enemies and each other's.
Absolutely. Do you think that?
And there's a comment in here in the book where.
Oh yeah, the demons even say that.
The demons even say sometimes the humans do our job for us.
They'll just take each other out.
Yeah, we don't even have to do anything. We just have to.
And that is so true, right?
Yeah,
that is so true.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just thinking, like, do you think that Janie actually knew the Lord? I don't think that she did. I would posit that Janie had not had a salvation experience and did not know the Lord.
Yeah, in my opinion, as the author, I don't think she truly knew the Lord.
And that's why she acts the way that she acts.
I think she probably was raised in church all her life, and so she knows the Christianese. She knows how to go along with the charade and be convincing.
Yeah, a mask.
Yeah, but I don't think Janie was a true Christian.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she was very combative toward Felicia.
Felicia, just a new girl.
It's Janie, Nancy, and Felicia. Janie and Nancy are best friends. Felicia is sort of brought in. Nancy kind of brings her in, and
she is pure-hearted.
Yes. I think Nancy is. I think Nancy's has a little bit of deception too.
I think she's deceived about Janie.
Yes.
But as the book progresses, the scales kind of start to fall off her eyes, and she makes some stands.
She does.
And isn't that uncomfortable when we have to do that with people we love and care about?
Especially when you love them. And she truly did love Janie.
Yeah.
And Felicia was sort of the strong
in that way.
Christian.
Felicia is just solid.
Yeah.
And also willing to take herself out of the equation so that she doesn't create issues between the friends, which I appreciate, but also maybe is not the answer.
Yeah, they needed a strong influence.
Yeah, so Janie was just a trip. So then we kind of go back to Turba and Malum. They're talking away, and Malum's basically like, "Hey, you're screwing up. It hasn't worked. Nothing's worked. What's going on?"
Yeah, step it up,
and threatens him again. Then
and again, I wanted to show. Just because the enemy attacks you doesn't mean they're going to be successful right away.
No, and I think a lot of times it is kind of a buildup, right, of intensity.
Yes.
As you experience
the intensity escalates because the upper superiors are like, we want this guy taken care of right away. And of course, it
almost their side of things felt very much, and with the demons and with the angels, it felt very military in the way that they were portrayed.
Yeah.
But I think that that's probably accurate.
Well, they are a sort of army.
Yeah.
Just like the
Yeah.
angels are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the angels are
Man,
considered the army of
Think
God.
about, like, I mean, we got archangels that is that they are like angels of death and angels of, war and like go to battle. And so I think that's excellent.
Yeah.
And absolutely true. So we're back to Arnold then, and he's talking to Alice. He takes in some beers. Like he drinks, but I don't know that I think that it's a super big issue for him. Well, it probably is a bigger issue.
Yeah, I think he just does it to.
It's just what he does.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just what he's always done. So it's what he does.
I didn't write him as an alcoholic. It was just. It was just a way to wind down at the end of the day.
There's so many people that that's what it is for them.
Yeah.
You and I are not.
And maybe it's a way of self-soothing when you're in a loveless when you're in a loveless marriage.
Absolutely. Something to bring comfort because his wife sure isn't doing that.
Yeah, she's sure not bringing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's in this motel room and he still just can't get this thing out of his mind about forsaking the world and embracing Jesus.
And it's a seedy motel room.
Yeah, it's nasty. Like I've been in a few of those.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I'm not touching anything.
Yeah.
Oh God, please don't let me take anything home with me.
Yes.
Any 6-legged or 8-legged creatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's really kind of thinking about that, but the alcohol is causing him to be confused. And then there's demons in the room that are also trying to contribute to that.
Yeah.
But then we also find that there is now an angel on the case.
Should we tell them kind of what the message he heard was, or should we let them discover that?
I think they should discover that.
Okay.
I think because that's such a good.
There is he heard it on the radio,
kind of
and he just can't get it out of his mind.
That he's searching out.
Yeah.
But I think that's often how it happens, right? Like there's this little seed planted, and we, for whatever reason, our heart latches onto it, and it's like, I need to know what that means.
Yeah.
I need to know what that really means. And isn't that often how the Lord grows us and causes us to come to, like, it's like a gentle wooing.
Yeah.
To bring us to him.
Well, and like to me as a Christian, I totally get what that means.
But if you have no background in Christianity,
exactly,
you have no idea.
Like it's like Greek.
We talk about that a lot
because a lot of our understanding of the word comes through the Holy Spirit.
That's right.
The Holy Spirit teaches you.
We talk about that a lot at church. Like it's one thing to like know the lingo, but when you're speaking to new believers or to people who don't know the Lord at all, they don't know Christianese.
No.
So like you got to put it in terms they understand to bring them to the Lord.
Yeah.
So yeah. So he ends up kind of falling asleep, and the demons are like, he's probably okay. We don't got to really worry about him.
Yeah, they're not too worried about it. They're watching, but they're not
really intervening.
Investing a lot of time in it.
Yeah. And as he drifts off to sleep, we see that now Arnold has his own protector angel on the case.
Because the Lord is not going to let you get attacked by the enemy without his presence being there in some level. I just don't think he's just going to abandon you too, unless you're of a reprobate mind.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So I have this question, and you haven't noted here. Were you intentional about writing this to have more depth spiritually?
Yes.
Because we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
About how there tend to be a lot of, well, like that lady said, puddle deep books in Christian fiction, right?
Yeah.
But these are heavy, weighty
But
things.
in her mind, this was not a weighty book. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just not a deep person, but I wanted to challenge people to think beyond the skin deep surface.
Yeah. I agree.
Hopefully I accomplished that.
And so I think that Jenner's a really good example of that. Like he continually turns to the word and to prayer and to worship to battle these feelings. I don't think he still is aware, though, that that's what's happening. Like, I'm not sure that at any point throughout the book, Jenner is aware that this is a spiritual attack against him. I think he just thinks it's something he's going through.
Yeah.
But Ellie recognizes it immediately.
Yes. And again, I think that's real life because
that's what I was going to say. Do you think that some people have more discernment of what's
going
on?
I do. And again, I keep talking about this woman. She was furious that Jenner didn't fight against. Well, Jenner did fight. And I'm like, I don't know what you wanted him to do.
In the only way that he knew how. Right?
He gave the sacrifice of praise, even when he didn't want to. The book shows him struggling with that.
There's a whole scene where he gets out of bed in the middle of the night and is on his knees in the Word in his room.
Yes.
Lord.
He's crying out to the Lord. Lord, I know. He recognizes in himself that, okay, these feelings that I'm having, this spirit of offense.
Because it even at one point verges on hate.
Yeah. And he recognizes it in himself, and he's like, Lord, I don't understand why I'm feeling these feelings.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jenner did fight, but
I agree. He sought godly counsel. that took a little longer, but he does seek godly counsel. And I think those are all the things that we have to do, right?
Yeah.
And then we just have to turn it to the Holy Spirit and say, okay, now you do your work. Because some things we can't get over on our own. Most things, I would say.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit has to do that work in our hearts.
Yeah.
And I think Jenner was a really great example of that.
He never had the epiphany that, oh, I'm under spiritual attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he? I don't.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that he ever was.
Do you
just
think
like,
he should have?
Not necessarily, because I think that there are many people who walk through life never knowing that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember it or if you were even still there, but several years ago, Dad did a sermon. I will not ever forget it. And I still have the notes for it because it was just so impactful to me. And the title was, It's More Spiritual Than You Think.
I do remember,
that.
Yes.
And it was just, he just gave several different real world examples. And then I thought, but I was like, that is so true. And so now that often pops up in my head, like, this might be more spiritual than I think.
Yeah.
And I'll say, Lord, is this? Not everything is. And I'm not trying to be super spiritual. Oh, everything is.
Well, and that's what I started to say. I know people who literally, if they walk over there and stub their foot on the chair, they think Satan did that.
Yeah.
No, you didn't
way.
make sure your big foot was out of the way.
That's right. And
not everything is a spiritual attack.
Some things are consequences of our own poor decisions.
Yes.
That's just facts.
Yeah.
So, not everything is an attack. Certainly, sometimes we have a part to play.
Yeah.
But I do think that many times things are more spiritual than we recognize.
Oh, for sure. Especially in a believer's life.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so.
And maybe Christians should, but I don't think a lot. And again, I've not seen any statistics. I've not spoken to every Christian on the face of the earth, but I've hung around Christians a lot. I'm not sure that a lot of Christians, I don't think a lot of even Christians think about, is this a spiritual attack? Mm-hmm. Do you in your life?
No, maybe I do now.
Yeah.
But I think that's also a product of the last few years and the seasons.
But I think that's a product of,
and also
spiritual wisdom.
Yeah, I think so too. Maturity,
spiritual maturity. Yeah.
And I will say that, I feel like really since I started having children, but especially in the last 10 years, that's kind of been a transformational time for me in my walk with the Lord. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the case for all mothers, but it's certainly been the case for me. And I don't know if it's just the responsibility, the weightiness of I have these children that I have to lead to the Lord. Mm-hmm. I can't save them, but I can lead by example.
Yeah.
And I need to be firm and solid in the word and deep in the word in order to lead them well.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge part of my growth as an individual in the Lord.
Probably my saying this is self-serving, but I think this is why people shouldn't shy away from deep topics like this, because whether you're on the football field, whether you're in a physical war here on earth, or whether it's a spiritual war, the only way you can defeat your enemy is to know their tactics.
That's absolutely true.
And I think books like this help, even though it's fiction,
it's absolutely, yes.
It gives you just a little bit of insight.
Because here's what I believe, Brett. The Lord called you to do this, to be an author, to write Christian literature. Mm-hmm. And so even though it's a product of your imagination, I believe that spark, that idea, that seed was planted in you by the Lord.
Yeah. Oh, well, I really do think it was, because I struggled with writing this book for probably a couple years. I had this book in my mind.
You kind of had to wrestle it.
Yeah. I had this book in my mind from the very beginning, but I didn't start writing it until after I had written my third book.
Yeah.
And finally I was just like, this is not going away. I've got you, because I was like, I don't know how to write a book like that.
And maybe he had to germinate that in your heart a little bit, right? Let it grow.
Yeah.
Let it kind of.
Well, and that's why my friend Nancy, she was like, well, maybe you ought to read the Frank Peretti book, This Present Darkness, and I was like, no, I intentionally did not read that book until I was done with this book and the second one.
Well, because then you don't want to be influenced by his writing style, right?
Exactly.
And patterning it off of that.
Yeah.
You needed it to be inspired by the Holy Spirit.
I didn't want to write a knockoff of Frank Peretti.
And I think that you did an excellent job of listening to the Holy Spirit, and because I believe that as you're writing. I don't know your writing process, but I know you. Mm-hmm. And I believe that in all that you do, you're listening for the voice of the Lord and you're following the promptings of the Holy Spirit to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Not that any of us do that.
And I don't want to, I don't want to misportray anything.
Exactly.
I struggled.
You're very careful in that.
I am. Yeah. I even struggled with, there's a couple scenes in here when you see demons and they're using swords and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Is that accurate?
Do demons use swords? But then, you know what hit my mind?
What's that?
When Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden.
And God set an angel with a flaming sword.
With flaming sword. I was like, okay, that means
that's
angels.
Enough right there. There's precedent.
That's enough. Yeah.
It's almost like with a lawyer, like with a case in the courts, right? Like, is there precedent for this?
Yes.
You know?
Maybe not every demon uses them, but if one demon did, that means any of them could.
Yeah.
So that's how I rationalized it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then we're kind of back to Arnold. He's home for the weekend. He wants to do something with Alice, but she is non-responsive.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I kind of feel for Arnold and Alice, because it's like, I could see how they don't have children. So it's always just been the two of them. And it sounds from like the flashbacks like they were very much in love when they were younger.
Yes. When I wrote book 2, I wanted to get into why are Arnold and Alice the way they are.
Okay. So
it's a dual timeline, and it bounces back and forth between their life now.
I'm so intrigued that you wrote a dual timeline book.
I know, because I hate them. And I didn't want to write it.
I love it. I gotta go read it now.
But it bounced back and forth between their current life and their life in the 70s when they were happy.
And so you can kind of see the parallels or things that shifted and changed.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited to go read that. So he invites her to dinner. She says no, and he's hurt. He's offended, basically.
Yeah.
He's offended that she said no.
Yeah.
But
again, that
honestly,
spirit of offense. He didn't recognize it in himself.
That's right.
But of course he wouldn't, because he's not a believer.
Exactly. And also, though, like, I will say this as a married woman, like, if we are not very intentional about creating time to spend with one another, it is very easy for Cody and I to neglect one another and our relationship. Not intentionally, not out of any sort of, but life is busy. We have 3 kids. He has a business that he runs. I help him with some of that. He has his hobbies. I have mine. Like, it's very easy to neglect to be intentional.
Without meaning to.
Yeah. Without any kind of malicious intent or anything like that. It's just life. So that is an area that, like, I could totally see how, like, him being on the road, she gets into her routine with her friends, and they just grow further and further apart over time. Yeah. And that to me seems like what has happened. Yeah. And Arnold, it doesn't work for like a company. He's basically a contract driver. And that's why Arnold, sometimes he's on the road for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. A long time. Because what does he have to go home to? Right. And that sort of toys with his mind. And also, I'll say that since they are not believers, I think that makes it harder. Like, I had this conversation with a friend yesterday. How do people who do not know God stay married? Because I will tell you, it has been the biggest exercise in faith and, like, choosing, even when things are difficult, to commit to that person. It's a covenant relationship, right? And so I think if you don't know the Lord, I don't know how you do it. I don't either. Because it's a constant dying to self to be married to someone. And that's not your human flesh. No. Like, our nature is not to die to self. No, it is like, I want what I want. Yeah. And oh, well, for you. Yeah. And that is not at all what marriage is, and certainly not what biblical marriage is. And that's true for whether it's a marriage relationship, whether it's a friendship relationship, whether it's a church people. Yeah. We are selfish people. Absolutely. That's part of our fallen nature. Yeah. So I totally, like, I feel for them, but it's also like, I mean, I get it. Like, they don't have the Lord to kind of ground them and to draw them closer to one another and to Him. So the cards are stacked against them. They kind just of are. By virtue of that. They kind of are. Yeah. Yeah. So then, Jenner sees Ellie, and this is kind of where I feel like he really did the seeking counsel thing. He opened up to her in a way that he didn't to everybody else. And I think it's because he recognizes the maturity in Ellie, right? Like the spiritual maturity of her. Yeah. And she's safe. Yeah. Well, and the funny thing about Ellie that we didn't mention earlier, they were reluctant to bring Ellie into the group in the beginning because of her appearance. But she's a gifted musician. And tell them what changed their mind about her. Do you remember? Was it about the prayer that she prayed? Yes. Jenner has a thing that he asks people to do, like in the band, and that's to pray over the band. And he likes to listen to people pray. And I think this is so true. Like, it's telling. You can tell a lot about an individual about how they pray and talk to the Lord in public. Yeah. And Ellie was just so sincere and so heartfelt, and there was depth in her prayer. And there was a little narrative in there where Jenner said, after she prayed, they were like, okay, we've got to have this woman in the group. And one of the boys said something like, well, my goodness, if Janie could pray over the devil, he would rededicate his life or something Ellie, like that. Yeah. She's very, very powerful in the world. And, that's one of the things, like, I can remember being a child, and growing up, there were a certain group of women that I just really looked up to in our church because they were intercessors. Like, these women prayed. These were women, and still they're the women that, like, if I have something going on serious, they're the first people I'm going to call and be like, Will you pray for me? Will you pray
anyone's prayer is powerful if you're a Christian, but intercessors is a whole new level.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
And I want to be like that. And I'll tell you, this is an area that the Lord is working on me, and actively right now, this is something that I'm talking to him about, because I have a really hard time. I can talk, but prayer is not just me talking to him. It's not a one-way conversation.
No.
It's not a monologue. It's a dialogue.
Yes.
And so where I struggle in that right now is sitting quietly and listening for him.
That's what I just started to say. Sometimes it's being silent and letting him
minister to you.
And yes. Oh, yeah.
It's so true. It's so hard.
And that's where I think some people get prayer wrong. Some people think prayer is you have to constantly be talking. No.
Some of the most holy moments of my life have been when I cannot open my mouth and I just have to sit and listen to him.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me.
Yeah. I do believe he moves in the silence.
Oh, absolutely he does.
Yeah.
Absolutely he does.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of where Jenner tells her, I need a break. And man, I've been there. I have been there where I thought, I don't want to do this anymore, Lord. I'm tired. I'm tired of doing the things that I do.
Honestly, I'm there now. I haven't sung in years.
Do you miss it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's still in my heart. Yeah.
Do you miss it? Or is it just like you miss it personally? Or do you think that that's the Lord kind of drawing you back to that?
I don't know. Okay. So here's an example. A few weeks ago, I went back to a church that I've gone to in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they did when I walked in the door was like, oh my goodness, you got to come up and sing. You got to come up and sing.
On the spot?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They literally saw me there and they were like,
anxiety.
Yeah. And I'm like, no.
I'd be like,
First of all, I've kind of lost my singing voice. I don't sing as well as I used to.
And that's the thing, right? That's the thing that people, if you don't, because I took some time off when we made this transition in the last couple of years where I didn't sing for a stretch of time, over a year. It was interesting when I did get back to it because it was like, hello.
Yeah.
What has happened here?
Yeah.
You have to build those muscles back up. You have to build that range back up.
Yeah.
And that has, it's a thing.
Yeah. And I got to the point where I was dreading going back because I'm just like, I don't want to be put on the spot like that. So 2 weeks ago, I was like, listen, I appreciate the gesture. I don't want to sing right now. If this keeps happening, I'm just going to have to stop coming to this church. I'm going to have to find a different church.
Bravo for you for communicating that.
Yeah. And she was like, I understand.
Okay.
When you're ready, just know that we want you.
And that's nice too, though, right?
Yeah.
So for them to make that effort and to say, we know what you're capable of. We want your talents if you want to share them.
She told me that she even communicated that to the worship team.
Yeah.
He's just here for a season. Talk to him, but don't pressure him. Like she didn't want them
being like, hey,
come
sing with us. Come sing with us.
Yeah. And I know
that
as
singers, we love to sing with other singers.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. And they wouldn't do it again with malice. They're just trying to, so she let me know I get it.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that because I feel like I can still go there and not get that pressure.
So talking about singing, Brett and I actually had the pleasure of singing together for a while.
For years.
Together. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we got to do some really fun things at our church. And do you remember the year that we did the Veterans Day? Was it Veterans Day?
Yes.
And we dressed up in 40s attire?
Yes.
That was so fun.
That was so fun. So he goes to get counsel from Ellie.
And I love what she told him. She says, don't allow the enemy to steal the joy. And also, if you give him a foothold, if you give Satan even just a little foothold, he will destroy your whole life with lies. That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot listen to him for even a word.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot give him an inch or he will take a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that said over and over in my life, that sin will take you further than you wanted to go for longer than you wanted to be.
Yeah. And make you pay a price you didn't want to pay.
Yes. Yeah. And it's true. It's absolutely true. And hanging on to offense and unforgiveness is a sin.
It is a sin. Yeah.
It just is.
I talked to a guy about this literally a couple of days ago, and he's a Christian, and he's a budding writer. He's already written a book, but he just doesn't kind of know where to go next. So he reached out to me. We have a mutual friend. So I have never met this guy.
Gotcha.
And he was like, I was looking over your books on Amazon. The War Songs one sounds interesting. Tell me a little about it. And I told him that I wanted to delve into the subtle sin of offense. And he goes, oh, do you think offense is a sin? I said, absolutely. And he goes, I need to read this book. I know I have some offense in my life. He said, but I never thought of it as being a sin.
Because it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
It's a choice.
And from what little bit I've talked to him, he's a godly man.
And I think anything that requires our choice could or could not be sinful, right?
Yeah.
Because sin is not just something that happens to, I mean, although I will say, because we are fallen, we are already born with sinful nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, up to a certain point that children are safe until they reach the age of accountability, things like that. But from that point on, it's a choice you make. And so that's the hardest part of being a mom, is trying to get them to make good choices, right? And teaching them to make godly choices.
You go through everything you do, all the heartache, all the joy, with the prayer that they'll make the right choices when they get to that point.
Because I can't make it for them.
No.
And so I think Arnold is a really good example of that, because he has this aunt, right, that he goes to, because he remembers that she took him to church as a child, and that she has strong faith. And she became one of the sweetest characters to me.
Aunt Deborah.
And she's so kind to Arnold. Like, even though he's grizzled and rough and tough, she just loves him, right?
Yeah.
Because she loves the Lord. And I think that's truly it. Like, when you truly love the Lord, there is an overflow of love that comes out of you toward every person that you encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Aunt Deborah is a perfect example of that.
She's that person. Yeah.
But
she shows up in book 2 too.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Can't wait. Yeah. She's actually plays a bigger part in book 2.
Yeah. So Arnold, he's headed home after 2 weeks on the road, and he decides to stop in at this church because he just can't get this stuff out of his head. Mm-hmm. And people are kind of dismissive of him. Yeah. And man, that has happened to me.
That happens.
It does happen. And
it's happened to me.
It is a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
It's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
But then there is one woman. He's about to leave, and then this one grandmotherly woman looks at him and smiles at him, and she reminds him of his Aunt Deborah. Mm-hmm. And so he stays and he listens. And I just, as his journey progresses, it's just like, man, you're almost there. You're gonna get there. Like, just know the Lord's gonna get him. He's just gonna wrap you up in a hug, and you're gonna have love and freedom like you've never had before.
Yeah.
And I want that for him.
Like he sits down in the pew, and the woman down on the other end, she picks up her purse and clutches it to her. Like, it's just little rude. Small things that in the grand scheme, I don't even know if the woman even did that intentionally, or if she just it's just, but it just goes to show how just a minor thing and like
can affect someone,
and it began to fester in his mind during this church service.
It did. And so I think, do you think of the sin of offense as something that, like, once you're offended about one thing, it's easier to be offended about other
Absolutely.
things? So it just kind of grows and compounds
I think
in
so.
your life.
Do you?
Because I do, and I think that these
that's why you have to nip it in the bud, because it progresses, because
that can become your whole personality and who you are.
Yeah.
And so he actually stays. And again, we're not going to tell you what this sermon is about, but I think it's pay close attention to all of that because it all ties together. And so as you're reading the story, definitely pay attention to those things. It's really interesting. And so he has a conversation with the pastor about it, asks him a few questions, and he's still not sure he's understanding, but at least he's asking questions. Do you think that he finally had some understanding after his conversation with the pastor?
I don't know that he had it on a deep level like you or I would, but I think
a base of knowledge.
Yes,
to build from.
I think the pastor gave him enough of an answer that it sort of satisfied him. I don't think an unbeliever can understand the deeper things of God.
Oh, I agree with that. Dad says that the word of God is so shallow that a child can play in it without ever having fear of drowning, but that a scholar can swim in its depths and never reach the bottom.
Yes.
And I think that's
that
so
is
true.
So good.
Isn't that good?
That is so
good.
It's
one of the things,
yeah.
I know I quote my dad a lot, but he has a lot of good things that he's learned over the years, and that has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I think about that often, like, I'm not a scholar by any stretch of the imagination, but as I grow in the Lord, there's always more for me to discover.
Yes. And I do think an unbeliever can sort of read the word and maybe get some surface level understanding, but they're not going to get the deeper understanding until
they know the Lord.
Yeah, until they know the Lord.
And I'll also say this. I think sometimes if you're a very intelligent person, that it's maybe difficult to accept and understand.
For sure. Because it fights against the logic that they want to. The whole cornerstone of our relationship with God is faith.
That's right.
Without faith, we don't have anything.
Yeah. So I think my favorite part of that whole encounter was when the pastor just tells Arnold that God loves him. And I think that's so powerful. Like, if we don't tell people anything else, they need to know that God loves them.
Yeah. And Arnold walked out of that meeting with that pastor thinking, God loves me. He'd probably never been told that.
Yeah, probably not. Not as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so powerful.
Because Alice is the kind that when the kids come up to the door, she answers the door with a shotgun.
Yeah. Well, and like, she's very unloving towards him. So he doesn't have any real love in his life.
No.
And so he probably didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
So I I loved Arnold's journey. Like, I know Jenner is the main character of the book, but I lived for the snippets of Arnold because I just knew, like, his story is going to be, I can't wait to read the second one.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Oh.
So we get back to Jenner and Hyacinth, and he just is in a mood, right? Like, he's not being very nice. And it's just kind of ugliness. And, you know, Hyacinth.
But again, that oppression can give you a personality that's not really you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so as they're leaving, they encounter Janie and her friends, and Janie's hateful to him again, and that causes Jenner's attitude to go even further south.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like the straw that broke.
The camel's back. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Hyacinth finally gets him to talk about what's been going on in his heart. Mm-hmm. It's hard to talk about offense.
It is.
It's hard to confess when we're hurt or wounded.
It's hard to confess it to yourself, and it's especially hard
to confess it to others. And I think that goes back to pride.
Because Christians, Christians have a lot of pride. It takes a lot of courage to self-examine.
Yeah, yeah. So then what do we learn about Jenner and Janie?
So we learned that they actually have a little bit of a past.
Okay.
Back in the day when they were both teenagers, maybe a little bit older than teenagers, they dated for a little while. And
that is why Janie is so combative towards him.
Yes. They broke up amicably, mutually, I guess. And so this is something, you know, Hyacinth tries to kind of be
like, hey, don't take it so personal.
Yeah, she tries to infuse a little bit of light into the situation, and she makes the comment that, well, are you sure you don't have a little bit of a crush on her? She knows he doesn't, because they have a very strong.
Yes, and they're very open. Like at the dinner scene when they go to dinner, and the waitress is, or the hostess is very clothing, very tight clothing. Like she's showing her body off.
Yes.
And he can't help but his eyes be drawn to it. And she kind of calls him out on it, right?
She does, yeah.
So, but that's what spouses do for one. Because I can tell you, like, when we're out in public and we see, because I recognize exceptionally pretty women.
Sure.
And so when my husband sees one, I'm like, she's pretty, huh? You know, and
yeah.
he'll be like, yeah, you know, or whatever. Like, it's not.
And then it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's okay to acknowledge.
But he kind of gets a little bit defensive when she says that. Not like in a combative way.
He gets his back up again, though, because it's that offense.
Yes. And so we find out. Do you remember why they broke up?
I don't.
Okay, so basically they broke up because, again, Janie, when you're with someone,
he recognized
she was not the type of level of Christian that he wanted to date.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about yokes and being unequally yoked.
Yes.
I think that is a perfect example of, you know, you'll hear that, be you not unequally yoked.
Yeah.
My dad told us that all the time when we were of dating age. Like, hey, you need to date people who are on the same level as you spiritually. You need to date people or who are, you know, above you.
Because what have we always been told?
Birds of a feather.
You're not going to bring them up.
They're going to bring you down.
They're going to bring you down.
That's right. And Cody and I have been having this conversation a lot lately. Like, if we want to grow, whatever area that it's in, if we want to grow in any way, we need to be around people who are already at the levels we want to be at or who are surpassing those levels so that we can get up there, right? Like be pulled up. Mm-hmm. You need to surround yourself with people who are more excellent than you.
Yes.
And so I think that Jenner made that choice very wisely.
Yeah.
Very wisely.
And I think there's a level, I never said this in the book, but in my mind as the author, Janie definitely had a spirit of offense in her. And I think part of her antagonism toward him is that because she considers herself a fantastic Christian, like she thinks she is a great Christian. So in my mind, this is why she's so antagonistic toward, because he's so, you know, and she even says that to Nancy a couple times. Don't question my Christianity.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why she has some antagonism toward him, because maybe he told her, hey, look, I just don't think you're on the spiritual level that I'm seeking.
And we don't know, like, they don't tell us that whole conversation. Right?
No, we never have that conversation. But in my mind.
But it went something that way, I'm sure. Because you can't just break up with someone and not give them a reason why.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So a few nights later, Jenner, he can't sleep. He's back in the practice studio. He's just having a little pity party. I am guilty of pity parties.
And yes.
It's a thing.
He's having a pity party.
But he starts praying. And in that room, we see like there's angels and there are demons everywhere. Mm-hmm. Right. And it is truly a spiritual battle at that moment.
Yes.
This is a critical moment. You feel it as you're reading it, like, and the way you portrayed everything, the setting, his heart, his state of mind, like you realize that this is a critical moment.
It's kind of chaos in the spiritual realm.
Yeah. But don't you think that's probably exactly how it is?
Oh, totally.
And everything that's happening around
Well,
us?
and it really makes sense, especially on the demon side, because where does chaos come from?
Oh.
It doesn't come from God.
No, he's a God of order.
But I think Satan and the enemy knows if they can get you in chaos, whether in your mind or in something going on in your life, if they can get you into a chaos situation, that gives them the stronghold to bring you down.
100%.
Because that's what they're trying to do. Their ultimate goal is to bring me down and you down.
They want to take you out.
They don't want you being a threat to the kingdom.
That's right. They don't want you being effective for God.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that you put nothing but the blood in here. Like, I feel like the church today, we get away, like, I love modern worship choruses and songs, but I love a hymn because the theology is so rich.
To be honest, the reason I put nothing but a blood in here was because it's not a copyright, it's public domain. The songs I put in there, because there's I think two or three
to a few,
to a few hymns, and I went through. I remember this. Is this the first time that we get a hymn in the book?
I think so.
I remember struggling with what hymn I wanted in there, and
because most of the hymns are public domain.
Yeah. And I don't know. I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, Lord, what song do I want him to sing at that moment? And this song popped into my mind.
I find myself singing this song a lot.
It's such a powerful song.
So let me ask you this, as a worshiper, this is kind of a little tangent, but do you ever, this happens to me a lot lately, where I wake up and there's just a song rolling over in my heart and in my spirit, and I find myself singing that song all throughout the day. And I wonder if that's not the Holy Spirit's way of being like, this is the song I want to hear today. Because I think he does care about that. I do too.
Yeah, that's cool. Totally.
You know, and so his angels are like, please let us help him. And they're told again, like, God has not told us, the Father has not given us permission. Like, we have to allow these things to happen.
Because again, the Bible talks about when we go through things like this, we don't lose our faith. And this is not the exact wording. This is a paraphrase.
Yeah.
It builds character in you. So that's why I wanted to show him struggling. It would have been a very easy for me for him to sing a song and just be miraculously, everything's fine.
Resolved.
But that's not real life.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I also love that at the same time this is happening, we get a flash of Ellie. She's woken up in the middle of the night and prompted to pray for him. That happens.
Totally.
Absolutely happens.
I believe that
happens. That is the value of having friends that are solid in the Lord and that are people of prayer. That is the value of that.
Yeah.
And so, man, these demons start really getting upset with Ellie because they realize, like, she's a threat. She's kind of a sleeper threat, right? Like,
yes,
almost like a sniper. Like,
yes,
she's a threat to their mission and they want to take her out. And so she kind of becomes a target at this point.
Yeah, because she sort of, a couple times up to this point, she sort of has encouraged him.
She's thwarted their attacks in a way.
Yes. Yeah. And she sort of has given Jenner just enough encouragement that things kind of worked out. She's having a positive impact on his life that the spiritual realm doesn't like.
And they don't like it. They don't want it.
Yeah.
Alice and Arnold get into a fight. He asks her out to dinner again. She tells him no. And then she just humiliates him in front of her friends. And that's awful. Like, don't love that.
Yeah.
So he goes out to the lake and has a little visit with himself. And he wonders, like, how did we get here? Well, we kind of covered that earlier. Just neglect. And if you don't have the Lord, the odds are stacked against you in marriage.
Yeah.
They just are.
Yeah.
And then we get to see a few days later, Janie and Nancy shopping together. And I think this is where Nancy kind of really starts to realize, like, oh, is this the person I want to be hanging around with?
Yes.
Is this the kind of friend
Nancy this is the point where Nancy kind of starts standing up to her a little.
Yeah, because Janie is being really ugly to people.
Yeah.
Very, very ugly. And she's just being nasty. Like, that's just the best way I know to describe it.
Yeah.
And so Janie kind of goes and sits down, and Nancy's like, I'm going to go do my own thing. And we realized Nancy was going to leave her, but she rode with Janie, so she's stuck.
She kind of goes off and she needs some time away from Janie.
Yeah.
This is one part of the story that absolutely, like, I cried when I wrote this one part with the boy.
Yeah, where she's just hateful to her.
Tell him about it.
So Janie's sitting there thinking about her life, and this little boy with a skateboard just kind of plops down on the other, and she is like,
like he's got floppy hair. He's a teenager.
And he's just chilling out, like,
he plops on the end of the bench where she's sitting,
which is a public place, right? Like,
they're at an outdoor shopping center.
Everybody has access to those chairs, So he just plops down, and she turns and immediately just lays into him and tells him to get off her bench and like is being hateful to him. And then we see in the next breath that boy has just decided, okay, nobody loves me.
He gets up and goes down to, because she tells him, get off my bench, you little brat or whatever.
So he goes to the next bench. And as he's sitting there, he's just kind of tearing up, and he's like, people are rude. I'm sick of school. I'm sick of my parents. Like, that woman is rude, and I can't wait to die. And so he decides, like, this is the day. This is it. I'm going to die today.
Yeah.
Man, how often do I think that happens? I think it happens a lot. You know, you never know what someone's going through, and you never know if your kind or rude word could be the thing to push them one way or the other.
That's why I put that. This scene was not in the book in the initial. I put this in there in late editing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to show our words impact people. And sometimes I think we forget that.
Absolutely. I can remember being a little kid, and my mom would say this all the time: sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But that's not true.
That's a lie.
That is a piece of
It's
cockamamie.
a cute saying, but
it's cockamamie, because it absolutely, words probably hurt more than anything else, because they stick with you so long.
Yeah.
Like, they can just stay stuck in your head.
And I remember thinking as I wrote that scene, Lord, please never let me be the person that breaks someone to that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't ever want to be a Janie.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Heavy stuff. So then Ellie's at the farmer's market, and she meets an old man, and they kind of connect. She used to go to there when he and his wife were younger. They had a booth, and she would go there as a child and get free pieces of funnel cake.
And final little note, Pastor Odell, the little old man, my grandpa's name was Odell. Oh,
I love that.
My mom's dad.
Oh, I love that.
And his wife's name is Leota.
That's so sweet.
That's my dad's mom's name.
Oh, that's so cool, Brett.
Yeah.
I love that. And so while she's there talking with that old man, there are these two young hoodlums, I guess.
Yes.
Hood rats.
Yeah.
And they see the blue-haired freak, and they decide they don't like her, and they want to do something to her.
Yeah.
I got such a foreboding in my heart as soon as I read that. I was like, this is not going to.
So what did you have an idea of what maybe was going to happen?
I knew, especially as I started reading, like the way that they talked, the way that you wrote their dialogue. I was like, oh, these are bad guys. These are bad guys.
These are not just.
They're not just
we're going to harass
rough
her.
her up or whatever. Like, I knew it was going to be really awful. And it, so foreboding. Then we get to see Alice or Arnold going to see Aunt Deborah. I loved this scene. She was just so welcoming and so kind and encouraging. Like, even though she knew that he was very uncertain about his faith, she wasn't pushy, just kind of giving enough. Right. And I think sometimes that's a balance for Christians. It's hard because we know how good it is when you know the Lord.
Yes.
And when you walk
but
with
you
him.
don't want to turn people off.
But you don't want to turn people away.
And
I think
it's a fine balance to maintain.
Yeah. And so he has her like to come back, and he says, well, I'll come back and you'll make me a meatloaf.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy.
Yeah. And the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Exactly.
At least that's what I've always heard.
That's right.
And so she says, okay, yes, I'll do that. And she gives him a Bible to take with him. And then, it says, I'll try to limit the talk next time, the Bible talk, and we'll just eat a meal together and enjoy time together. And so he takes that with him, right? And so now that's become a touchstone for him, that Bible, I think. He takes it and he's learning, he's interested. But again, he's still just the whole time meditating on their marriage and like, why is it the way it is? And how do we fix it? Can it be fixed? So he calls her again and says,
because it's hard to fix something that's broken if both people aren't willing to fix it.
Or willing to even acknowledge that something's wrong.
And at this point, Alice is not. Yeah.
She doesn't think
Alice
anything's wrong.
she likes life the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he asked her again to go to dinner, and she again turns him down, and he kind of blows up, and he's like, don't you remember like when we used to be happy? And she doesn't want to talk about it. She just gets offended and screams at him and hangs up. So he just throws his phone across the cab and is like, I'm not being nice to her anymore at all. And then I loved your Christmas scenes. These made me so happy. You do Christmas so well, and I think it's because you love it so
I love
much,
it so much. Yeah.
And
if you've read any of my books, especially up through book 4, Christmas touches every book in some small way.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So then we see the two hoodlums again, Billy and Joe, and they're watching Ellie. They're watching her at her house.
They're actually at her house. Yeah.
And that's
crazy. They've not talked to her or
made any sort of contact.
They're hiding in the shadows, so to speak.
And they're watching her decorate her tree. And so Hyacinth and the Jenner are at home, and she's kind of cleaning, but she tells him, she's like, I don't really want to do this. And he's like, well, maybe we should put the tree up, since Thanksgiving is done, and you can wait to vacuum till after we get everything up. And so he mentions that he's surprised that she hadn't started it. And she says that she was hesitant to do it because when she mentioned it on Thanksgiving, he snapped and told her if it was up to him, they'd skip Christmas this year. I don't think sometimes we realize like how even the most minor of words that we speak can affect others, right? And so like this is a great instance of that.
Yeah.
And he tells her he's so sorry, for being crabby, and is like, yeah, let's decorate the house. And so they like get this expensive tree. So I want to hear your story about your expensive Christmas tree.
Okay. Years ago, Mom bought this expensive silk Christmas tree.
A silk tree?
From a florist.
I have never heard of such
the
a thing.
The branches had silk needles on them.
Were they beautiful?
Beautiful. And it was insanely expensive. So she literally
Do you have to like wear gloves to touch it or something? Like
I mean, it came with cotton gloves.
I was gonna say, wouldn't your oils like stain or wouldn't the oils on your hands?
I mean, it was green. It was a green Christmas tree, but yeah, the needles were silk.
Wow.
And so we knew the lady that owned the florist, and Mom paid that Christmas tree off for like almost a year.
Wow.
Because it was that expensive.
That's expensive.
So, Mom, if you're listening, you may not want to listen to this. It may be triggering for you. So, Mom was so proud of her tree. She was so excited to use it the next year because she finally got it paid off. And we lived in a house that had a fireplace. So instead of calling a chimney sweep to come in and clean it, Dad heard somebody say, well, you don't need to call in a chimney sweep. Just get the top of your Christmas tree and tie rope to the end. And
tell me he did not.
So, and it's kind of Mom's fault because you know how men are. She was like, you can use the top of the old Christmas tree, but
she didn't tell him which one.
She said, my good Christmas tree is on the right side or whatever. The one that you can use is the one on the left. She had been trying to get him to get rid of it, but he hadn't done it yet.
No.
So she goes, use the one that's on the left or whatever. Well, Dad goes out there and just picks the first box that he sees. Well, guess which one it was?
It was the silk tree.
It was Mom's. She only got to...
Your poor mama.
So, yeah.
Oh, the heartbreak.
Yeah.
The heartbreak. And you probably couldn't just buy that piece of the tree.
No. Well, I mean, I'd imagine. Like I said, this was several years ago. Maybe now on Amazon, you might be able to, but yeah.
Oh,
so she got to use her expensive Christmas tree 1 year.
Brett's mom, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Dad, sorry to tell that story, but you deserve it. I love you.
Preserved for all time.
Exactly.
I love it. Oh, bless it. So they get the tree up, and then he decides, hey, let's call and get our niece. Let's go get Paige, and let's have her. Because she's always, like, fun and life-giving, right? Like, little kids are fun.
Sad note about Paige, though. Charity helped me edit this book down from 540 pages to, like, 300. A little over 300. Yeah, I had to write a lot of Paige out.
Yeah.
And I loved her.
And she was so fun.
Yeah,
I will say, in the first, if you have a first version, a first edition, like, of this, you see more Paige.
Yes.
But if you have read the new edition, then you're not going to see as much of her.
You're not going to see as much of her
but
until
she is
Christmas.
A sweet little thing.
Yeah.
So at the same time, Arnold's on the way home from a couple weeks on the road, and he's just sad about Christmas because it's not going to be a fun time, right, with his unloving wife.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be anything fun. And so instead of going home, he's like, nope, I'm going to go see Aunt Deborah again. And so he just pops in, and
thank goodness for the Aunt Deborahs in life.
I'm telling you, right? Like people to just encourage you and lift you up. And that's what she does.
And just love you.
And meet you where you are. Yeah. And so her house is all decorated with Christmas finery and beautifulness.
Yeah. And Aunt Deborah, they were not a wealthy family, but in later life, she sort of has gotten her life together, and she leads sort of a decadent life compared to Arnold's.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like in an assisted living type place, but it's very...
She's not rich,
nice.
But she's doing
she's
well.
Invested
she's
well
doing okay.
And, made good financial choices. And so they have a good time, and he gets ready to leave. And on the way home, he asks God, he says, are you real? And are you there?
It's the first time he's ever prayed.
The first time he ever prayed. And so now the demons are like, oh, we might actually have something to be worried about.
Yeah, something's brewing here. He's, questioning there's actually a second sermon that he hears that also piques his interest.
Yeah.
So he's showing more and more interest.
He's just getting more and more into the word. And
yeah.
yeah.
And the demons, as we get into the story, they're really starting to get concerned about Arnold.
Yeah, like, oh, we might lose this one to the light.
Yes.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so right around that time, an angel also shows up and he starts quoting scripture. Anyone who seeks him will find him, even Arnold, even Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we're back at the Christmas party at Jenner's house and everybody's there.
The whole group, yeah.
Whole group is there. Paige is having a meltdown because she wants to swim, but it's December.
Yeah.
And it's still cold, even though they're in the South.
And is this not something a kid would do?
Straight up, my kids. Every time we go to Dad and Michelle's house, even if the pool is covered in the winter, the kids are like, we want to swim. Bellamy, I swim. And I'm like,
there's a quarter of inch of ice on the
you
surface
ain't
of the
getting
water.
that water. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Hypothermia, you will die.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
So she has a meltdown.
Yeah, she has a meltdown. So he's trying to distract her. Okay, I have to know, did you have her eating what you had her eating for any specific reason, or was it just the most disgusting combination?
It was just the most disgusting combination I could think of.
Oreos and nacho cheese.
But my little goddaughter, Autumn.
That's disgusting.
I can remember kids will eat disgusting stuff.
They absolutely will.
I thought it would be funny.
And she wants to share with Uncle Jenner. And
she
so
just wants to share.
He finally takes a bite of it. And the things we do for our kids.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
Mine is sharing my drink with Bellamy. I just can't look in it after she takes a drink because
I know.
Don't need to see what's floating in there.
Exactly.
But we do it.
Yeah.
So Ellie and Hyacinth are chatting, and Ellie is telling Hyacinth about this new guy she's dating, and she thinks he might be the one. Like they have really connected.
Because in addition to being in the worship team, she works part-time at a library.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where she met him.
And they call him library nerd.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I'm a library nerd.
Because he's a very, he's
well-read.
He goes in and he doesn't get the newest John Grisham very often. He goes in and gets the technical manuals on, engineering or whatever. Yeah.
Very intelligent. Very scientific and logic minded.
Yeah. So the boys really start giving her a hard time. And of course it's his name too. I gave him sort of a,
your notes here are cracking me up.
Oh, yeah. I gave him sort of a pretentious name, and of course it
is kind of pretentious. Like they take it and run with it.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, and I don't. But anyway, yeah,
it's like
you can read
names
it.
Or something. It's funny.
Yeah. So they are
and of
really
course the boys
giving
are
her
like
a hard time.
ribbing her hard.
Yeah,
and that's what friends do, right?
That's what guys do. That's what friends do.
And they almost have like a brother sister relationship to me. That's very much how that reads. And so that's what siblings do. Like we're gonna taunt you and tease you and make you miserable a little
exactly.
bit. So right after this, though, man, Jenner and Hyacinth have like a blow-up fight.
Yes.
Okay, so can I tell you, for some people, this might be like, well, they love each other so much and they've been so loving up to this point. How could they have this like huge argument? But the thing is that like this was so real life to me.
It's been building.
And honestly, like that's how it happens. Like you just keep stuffing and you keep stuffing and you keep stuffing until finally it just explodes. A lot of times.
Okay, and here's the deal. I went through a very severe depression a few years ago, and I can tell you, his level of depression wasn't like probably the severest kind, but I can tell you when a person is going through that type of depression, it gives you anger. It gives you resentment. I mean, every negative feeling that you can have. And this was a buildup of everything that was going inside of Jenner.
And I almost think that it's harder for Christians.
Yes, because Christians aren't supposed to be.
That's right. We assume that we should not have to fight these things, but nowhere in the Word does it say that.
Nowhere.
And Job, like you said,
we are not immune.
Is a perfect example of like God allows things, to help us grow.
Yeah.
Even when they're uncomfortable.
And that's one thing the woman that wrote me said. She was like, Jenner, if he was such a good Christian, no, nowhere in the Bible does it say that Christians are immune to being.
God doesn't just take depression away.
No.
Sometimes he does.
Sometimes he does.
And
sometimes he lets you go through it.
And sometimes you need medication for it.
Yeah. And because sometimes you just need to remember that no matter how deep, no matter how bad things get for you, God is still there.
That's right.
In the midst of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so in the course of this, like he really gets mean and like breaks all of her grandmother's crystal.
Well, and the way this happens is sort of funny because Hyacinth is trying to get the house cleaned up, and there's a pair of shoes that's been sitting on the floor.
And he trips.
And he keeps trying to...
Or she trips on him.
She keeps trying to get him to pick them up. Well, he's like, well, next time I go that way... How many times have you and Cody had an argument similar to this?
Oh, yeah. Listen.
Would you please pick up your shoes? Would you please pick up your socks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well... He was like, well, okay, I'll do it next time I go. No, I don't want you to do it
now.
in an hour. I want you to do it now.
I've asked you 15 times. Just do it now.
Yeah. So she walks by, trips over his shoe. Well, she gets mad. He rushes over to help her up. Well, she's like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
And this is what starts the big blow up.
And that's exactly how it happens. Like, that's exactly something mundane, but that is the straw that breaks the camel's back, and then everything explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, I have never had an experience where my husband,
and I wanted it to be extreme.
Broke things. It's never been like that for me.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord. But I can see how it could happen.
Because, again, it was a product of Jenner's frame of mind. When you're in that kind of depression and that kind of
funk,
that kind of funk that he was in, it can make you act in ways that you normally wouldn't.
That's right.
And that's why I took it to the extreme.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
So she's a little bit scared of how he's behaving, and she's heartbroken. And so Hyacinth is like, I'm out.
Because she's starting to feel like you're not the guy I married.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she leaves, and then we see angels and demons just swarm the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, this is the penultimate moment, right, of battle.
We're getting to the zenith of everything that's going on.
Then Jenner, a while later, we're at church. He has another awful encounter with Janie, and he just tells her, grow up.
Yeah.
Just grow up. And so he leaves the sanctuary, heads back to the chapel and prays. And he tells the Lord, correct me, convict me, show me what needs to be fixed. And man, don't we have to do that often?
Again, and it's not always easy to do.
And he says, I love that we put here, he decides to no longer be an emotional hostage. Mm-hmm. Man, how often do we let ourselves be that?
Yeah, I've done it.
I do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see Turba. He's mad. He is mad that this is somehow drawing Jenner closer to the Lord. It's all meant to pull him away, and instead he's clinging closer.
Yeah.
And it makes him angry.
And I like to think that when that happens, that our enemy gets furious because we don't fall into their traps.
Yeah. Oh, I think I absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of as a final act of obedience, really, I'm going to do this, even though he starts to worship again. And even though he doesn't feel like it, he closes his eyes and begins to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hyacinth and Camden come in there and they start singing with him. And it's just this kind of holy moment, right? Of camaraderie and healing, I think, happening there, probably. All of those things.
And again, I brought Hyacinth into this because I wanted to show, after the horrible fight they've had a few days later, they can still...
reconciliation.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, I'm sure apologies were made and all of those things. That's what has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of relationship, whatever type of relationship it is. There are going to be disagreements. There are going to be times we say hurtful things.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's our responsibility to go back and apologize to that person and try to make amends and do what needs to be done to fix the relationship.
Yeah.
And I think we see that there. And so Camden says, hey, you know what? We should put that song in our list of things that we do. And he's like, okay, yeah. And after the new year, I'm going back with y'all. I'm back on the road.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he's
an
through the
epiphany,
fire,
for loss of a
through
word.
The fire, I guess. He's on the other side of it.
Yes. And I really wanted to show in Jenner, how you can be a very strong Christian, because Jenner was a strong Christian. He was strong in his faith, but I wanted to show a strong Christian can still falter along the way.
Yeah.
It's not real life to show. This would not have been an impactful story if Jenner had been perfect all the way through it. If he had gotten all these attacks but never succumbed to any of them.
That's right.
I want to depict him in a way that showed he's a strong Christian. He has a strong faith, but he still faltered.
Yeah. And we do.
But he never completely lost his faith.
That's right. And I think it's important for us as Christians to remember that when we are under attack, we can always run to the Father.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how we're feeling, because sometimes it feels that way. If we've made a mistake, I'm sure there's guilt and things after a fight like that, behaving that way. And sometimes we can let guilt keep us from going back to the Father, right? But that's not what He wants.
Mm-hmm.
When we sin, when we fall, He sends the Holy Spirit to convict and correct, and then He wants us to acknowledge it and immediately get right back in right standing with Him, not to stay out of alignment with Him.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we fight against that. Like we let self-condemnation creep in. We think I have no right. Like I have no right to come back to you, but that's what he desires. And that's why he sends the Holy Spirit. So just to draw us back to him, so that we can repent and we can turn away and we can be right back in right standing with him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this like huge, big thing.
No, it doesn't have to be this
It's
big dramatic. Yeah. It can just be, you know what? I messed up.
Yeah. And I'm sorry.
I behaved badly.
Help me not to do this again.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And I think Jenner was a great example of that. I think, and there are some, do you want to do a spoiler zone? We can do the spoiler zone, but like,
yeah,
if you're going to read it, you should just go read it.
Let's go into a spoiler zone.
Okay.
We're going into a spoiler zone right now. I would love for people that have not read my books to pick up this book. And if you do decide you might read it, please stop here. Because I do want to kind of talk about.
I think we have to, because there are some things I want to cover about the end of the book.
So duck out now and.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. So, all right.
For those of you who want the spoilers, I guess we have to start with Ellie.
Right? Bawled.
With sobbed.
Ellie. I literally, she is one of the few characters that I've actually cried over.
And I'm a crier. So like, it's not uncommon for me to get emotionally involved in a book.
And I'm not typically a crier.
But I was bawling.
Tell her what happened. Tell them what happened.
Well, the two hoodlums take her life in a very...
They break into her house.
Graphic and awful manner. Nothing that would... There's no like trigger warnings for SA or anything like that. But it's still heartbreaking. But Ellie has such peace in the face of it. Like even facing death, she knew where she was going.
Yeah. And the perpetrators actually
are kind of taken aback by that.
They're kind of disappointed by her.
Because there's a lack of fear.
There's a lack of fear. She doesn't beg for her life. She prays.
She prays and talks to the Lord and walks right into his arms, right?
Yeah. So it was anticlimactic for the perpetrators.
They did not get that high that they wanted.
Yes, because we learned earlier in the book.
This is not the first time they've done this.
Very subtly, but yeah, if you pay attention, they've done this several times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're a team, which is also scary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I was just gutted. I was gutted. And literally that was when I texted him. I was like, what have you done? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
Because she's just such a kind heart. But I mean, here's the truth of it. Awful things happen to good people.
That was part of the reason why I did it. Ellie was a soldier of the faith.
But awful things
But that does
happen.
not mean God's going to protect you from, again, Ellie had parameters around it. We don't really see it so much in her life because she wasn't the main focus. But Ellie was just like Jenner. God put parameters. And you know what? Even though we don't understand it, sometimes God allows bad things like that to happen because these two men had evil in their hearts. God is not going to come down and usurp these men's free will.
That's right.
Their free will was that we're going to take her life because she's a blue-headed freak and we don't like her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She didn't do anything to instigate it. They just
chose her out of the crowd.
They chose her out of the crowd because she had bright blue, she had cobalt blue hair, and so they decided we're taking her out. We're going to take her out. So there was no instigation. There was no reason why it happened. Yeah. Part of the reason is I wanted to show that just because you're a Christian doesn't mean God's going to shield you from horrible things.
And so all of that kind of happens around Christmas. As they were decorating the tree and stuff, they had called her and she didn't answer and didn't show up for band practice. And they started getting really worried. And so actually Hyacinth and Jenner are the ones who find her.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. And so they have her funeral and the band is grieving, obviously, but they're working through it together. And I think that was also a catalyst towards Jenner starting to be like, Lord, I can't do this without, I have to lean on him even more. I felt like, and that maybe started helping him kind of recognize some of the things that were happening.
Yeah.
So they do get back on the road after the first of the year. I kind of felt this way too. Again, like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah. And I'll tell you why when you tell them kind of what happened.
So they're on the road and they're traveling. Are they traveling home or are they traveling to an event? I can't remember. They're on the bus.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
And so we're kind of like, it's like dual point of views of the same moment in time of the people on the bus and then of Arnold. And there is a massive collision. Their vehicles collide. Yeah. Quite literally. There's a massive collision in which Jenner loses his life. Is he now? I was unclear on that. Was Jenner the only one who lost his life?
Yes.
At that moment.
Yeah.
Of the band, And then Arnold is critically injured. Several of the others are injured, but Jenner dies.
Yeah.
And so we kind of cut to the hospital where Arnold was in bed. They've finally gotten a hold of Alice, and she shows up, and she's shaken. Like, we finally see some humanity and some caring coming from Alice. But isn't that so often how it happens? Like, it takes a tragedy sometimes.
Yeah.
To make people wake up.
Yeah.
And I think this is also a huge turning point, I assume, for Arnold in his faith walk. So
yes.
we kind of leave off there with them. And
that's sort of the end of the road for them. But book 2 sort of starts, I think, 2 or 3 months after this event. So by the time book 2 starts, Arnold he's back home and he's sort of in recuperation of,
Okay. So that's where we kind of end with them. We just finally see them finally connecting again. And I was so happy to see that, just that moment of connection.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is I knew their story had to continue somewhere. So I was like,
yeah,
this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we know, we are with Jenner in heaven.
This is why I allowed what happened to Ellie and Jenner happen.
Okay, but I have to ask. I'm intrigued by how you wrote the timing of this, because when he's in heaven, not only is he meeting, like, he sees Ellie, reunites with her, but then Hyacinth is there and Camden's there, and like, they're all there. So do you think that time is different for people in heaven than it is for us here on earth?
Oh, I do.
The word says that.
Yeah.
That one day in his presence is as if 1,000 years here.
Yes. And I did sort of make say in there that actually no, the lady that he meets in heaven, her name is Leota. Yeah. I said Mr. Odell's was, but no, this woman's name is Leota. That's my dad's mom. Oh. Yeah. And
she's showing him around heaven.
We have a huge jump in time at this point, because at this point the rapture has already happened.
Okay.
So yeah, so is
that like when they have come, the assumption is that they came in the rapture?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why
I was unclear on that. So.
Yeah. So when book 2 starts, we're back before the rapture. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very well done.
Oh,
beautifully
thank
well
you.
done. And I found so much peace in it. Like, there was just so much joy in those last chapters.
That's why I did it, because
that's what heaven will be, right?
Regardless of what horrible things happens to us here on earth,
we have the hope of heaven.
This is not the end. Yeah, and this is how, like, say with the Charlie Kirk thing. Mm-hmm. Horrible thing that happened, but guess what? Life is good for Charlie Kirk right now.
That's right. And
where all his wife and his kids are still struggling with the tragedy and grieving his loss.
Sure.
But that guy, that horrible guy that took his life, he didn't take anything away from Charlie Kirk. He just pushed him into the arms of God, into the arms of Jesus. Yeah. And that's what happened here. Yeah. And that's why I wrote that. I wanted to show that just because horrible things happen here on earth, that's not the end for a believer.
That's true. That's true. And it does give me so much hope. I can remember being a kid and being sad to think about dying, or being scared of it. Mm-hmm. Or being even like, Lord, I don't want you to come back yet. I want to have a family. Like, I want to,
I want to be able to have a wife. I want to have kids. Yeah. I want to buy my own house.
All these things that you think you want to do. But I'll tell you what, the older I get, the more I'm just like,
none of it matters.
I'm ready to go home. Yeah. Like, this is not my home.
Not that family doesn't matter, but I would much rather the rapture happen than to have anything that this world has to offer.
And ultimately, we were made for his presence. Mm-hmm. And that is what we long for as humans. That is what Arnold is longing for. That's what Alice is longing for. They just don't know it. Mm-hmm. And that is what is missing in the human heart until we come to know him. Yeah. But even when we walk with him here on earth like this, our spirits know that this is not the complete, like, this is not, we've not arrived.
Yes.
And so I think my spirit especially longs for the day that I am in his presence, and fully abiding with him. Mm-hmm.
And I've had 2 reviewers, like Amazon reviewers or Goodreads or whatever, I'm not sure where. Mm-hmm. I had 2 reviewers leave in their review that they did not understand why this last scene was in there. Are you a Christian? How can you not understand?
It's the hope of heaven.
Yes. Right. It's like, our whole hope lies in this moment. How can anybody not understand? But
maybe they're hopeless.
And maybe they weren't Christians.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is a beautiful book. Probably my favorite one of yours so far.
Thank you.
Now I know you got more coming down the pike, and I'm
I do.
excited to read those. Getting to beta read one right now is super fun. And it's enjoyable. But I love the way that you wrote this book, and I love how you kind of portrayed what might be happening in the spiritual behind the scenes that we don't see.
Yeah. This one and A Christmas to Live For, these are the two books that I get the most correspondence from.
And so are they the ones that you would recommend people read from your own
This
perspective?
if you're going to start with one of my books first, I would say War Songs first.
Okay.
But I feel like it's my most important book.
Okay.
Maybe other people would have a different opinion, and that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, I would suggest starting with this one.
Okay. So there you have it, from the author's mouth himself.
Yeah, because you get book 2 and book 3 is coming up next year, and
so good.
book 3 is called Charlatan.
Oh, I like that.
And
ooh, I'm excited to see where that's going.
The thing about book 3 is a very minor character in book 2 is the main character in book 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Book 2 really kind of, I say, wraps up Arnold and Alice. Honestly, I don't think Arnold and Alice's story is still not over. There may be a book 4 that goes in
a little more to their stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think there's more story left for Arnold and Alice. Yeah, but yeah, Hyacinth and Arnold meet in book 2.
Oh, I can't wait to, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to go read it. I bet that's a moment.
Yeah.
To think about that, like, it wasn't intentional what happened, because he's very tired when all that goes on.
Yes.
But to meet the person that
Hyacinth struggles with it,
intentionally or unintentionally, took the life of your spouse.
So
there are some weighty themes, but certainly if this is something that you're interested in, or if this is something that you've experienced, I recommend that you read the books. They're very, very good.
So what is your thoughts on, and we're going to start wrapping this up, what is your thoughts on the original version versus the because you are very instrumental in helping me whittle this down.
I don't feel like I did anything, honestly.
And just making sure that it, so
that the continuity was there.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Do you think it lost anything it was very hard
to cut down
this book.
I really don't think you lost anything. Now, again, we've talked about this. I like a lot of detail. I like a lot of just side scenes and different things. So I personally really enjoyed the first version. But that said, upon reading the second one, I think it is more concise, more to the point, and maybe a little easier to follow just for your average reader.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That may not be into longer books. And I while I was editing
that was the whole purpose.
Yes.
In the edit.
Yeah, and while I was cutting things, I also cleaned up the writing style.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Which was important to me.
There was definitely kind of a shift in tone a little bit and in voice.
Yeah.
A little more polished, I felt like.
That's what I wanted. I feel like I'm more polished as a writer now than I was 4 years ago. And I'm not one of those writers that is going to go in. I have a writer friend.
Constantly editing.
Yes. And it's a rapture book. And she literally goes in as like things change. Like she goes.
Current events?
Yeah. She goes in like every 3 months and updates it to be current. I'm like, no, don't do that.
So if you do that, like, is she like an Amazon author, like where she publishes on Amazon and stuff? So if you do that, like if you buy the ebooks, does that automatically update?
No.
Or do you have to buy the new versions?
You would have to buy the new versions. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
I do have the first copy of her book because we had her on the podcast. So I do have a copy of her first book. Like all these changes she made would not be in my Kindle version. I would have to go in and buy every version. Yeah.
Wow.
And plus I don't have time to do that because I've got 20 other books that I want to write, so I don't have time to keep going in and updating and changing the story to reflect.
Yeah.
I know a writer, when she writes books, she says social media instead of Facebook or instead of Instagram.
To make it be more...
because there may come a time when Facebook is not relevant anymore.
Right.
But to me, would Charles Dickens' books be as good if somebody went in and updated it every year?
I don't think so.
That's how you get classic books, by letting books age.
Letting things remain.
Yeah. I mean, do what you want. It's your book. But I'm a firm believer in letting books
Right. And that's not at all what you were trying to do with this edit.
No. I just wanted to clean it up, polish it,
Yeah.
and just make it a more concise read.
I definitely think that it's more polished, and it does just flow, I think, in a way that maybe the first one, some of those scenes felt a little disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
So like the ones that you took out, it was appropriate, I think, to do it the way that you did.
Yeah.
So like my friend Jack, she's written a trilogy and she's working on her second set of books, and she did kind of a
revamp.
Yeah, of her first one. And they got new covers and things like that. And so I told her the other day, I was like, I have your originals, but I think I need the new ones too.
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to have to come get them and have you, because she signed all of mine. And like, she's my best friend. We've been best friends since 7th grade. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, someday when you're famous, I'm going to get to say I've known her since we both had frizzy curly hair.
That's
and
right.
Braces and, all the things. But she says that it's very, like, as an author for her, that's one of the things that it's fun, but it's also kind of stressful.
It is.
Making sure that it's appealing to the readers and that you're grabbing their attention. Is that one of the harder parts for you too?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's why I always encourage people, if you pick up an author's book, especially if you pick up one of their earlier books and you're like, it's all right, but not really my thing. Go to one of their later books.
Yeah,
because writers do evolve as they write.
Like, from her first book to like this one that she's just had me beta read, and I know it's coming out. Like, the difference. Both very good, but the way that she has grown as a writer, is pretty impressive. Like, it's crazy to me, but it makes sense. Like anything is that way. The more that you do something, the more that you develop a skill, the better you get at it. Yeah, and I think that certainly is true with your books.
It is. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So.
Thank you for talking to me about this one. It was one of my favorite reads.
Me too. I was so nervous, guys. It's one of those. I've been invited on a podcast to talk about one of my other books. It's probably going to happen in 26. And he wanted to talk about my book, Unprotected. And so one of the hardest things is to talk about my own books. I don't know why.
So I would be curious to know if like all those authors that we interviewed this summer feel the same way.
They do. I asked several of them, like not on air, but as we were talking, like I like to talk to my author guests for a little bit and just sort of get comfortable with each other before we hit the record button. And I almost always said, hey, does stuff like this make you nervous? And almost every one of them were like, this is one of the scariest parts of being an author is going on.
Well, you're kind of putting your whole heart and soul out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the behind the scenes, that's a lot.
Well, and then you've got the whole... I'm not good at self-promoting myself. And when you're on a podcast talking about your book, you're kind of self-promoting. And a lot of authors don't like to do that. It's hard to self-promote. Well,
probably the reason that you write is because you don't want to speak.
Exactly.
In front of people.
Yeah. And I'm not a great writer. I'm not a great speaker.
I don't think I am either.
Yeah. No, you actually are a great speaker.
I don't feel like it.
I have to edit out so many ohs in this podcast that it's embarrassing.
And then I just have dead space where I sit there and I'm like, what was I going to say?
Well, the good thing is we edit out a lot of those too. So.
Yeah, someday we might have to do a blooper reel.
We need to. Yeah. So anyway, I know we've had you guys on here for a while, but Charity, thank you so much for helping me through this. I've enjoyed talking about it. And several of the listeners have requested this, and I've just been reluctant to do it.
It is such a book that is worth your time to read. So
if
you've not read it, please go get the book, order it, read it, and then please go leave a review.
Yeah.
That is very important.
Yes, please leave reviews.
It helps our, local and new authors, really helps them so much.
I need to get up to 50 reviews and I don't have a single book that's up to 50 reviews yet. So yes, please leave reviews.
So yes, please get the books, read them, and then leave reviews.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Well, you guys all know where to find us. We're on all the major podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. Just any of your platforms, just go to the search engine and type Bookish Introverts Podcast. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok.
You can find them anywhere.
Bookish Introverts Podcast. We're not hiding for anybody.
No.
So thanks you guys for listening, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Bookish Introverts Podcast, where together we explore the worlds within the pages. Until next time, stay bookish.